abandon, and while the Red Crescent is providing food while they wait, many say they've gone for some 30 hours and have no access to toilets. Despite this being a bombing attack on pro-government Shiites in a rebel-held area, the rebels were quick to blame the Syrian military for the attack, calling for international intervention against them. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Delta Airlines began granting its agents the ability to offer passengers up to almost $10,000 to give up some seats on overbooked flights. A company spokesperson said supervisors were previously only able to offer up to $1,350, but as of Friday, they were given the ability to offer as much as $9,950 in compensation. The change will also allow gate agents to offer up to $2,000 in compensation, more than double the previous cap of $800. The Department of Transportation requires airlines compensate passengers for being involuntarily bumped from their flight with a maximum required payment of $1,350. Delta also reinforced the company's priority of reaching a voluntary agreement with passengers rather than involuntarily denying boarding in a memo announcing the raised compensation caps. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports a federal judge on Saturday temporarily blocked plans by Arkansas to carry out a rapid series of executions this month after the inmates argued the state's rush to the death chamber was unconstitutional and reckless. Arkansas, which has not carried out an execution in 12 years, planned to begin the lethal injections of at least 6 convicted murderers on Monday and complete the executions before the end of April. Since the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated the death penalty in 1976, no state has ever put as many inmates to death in such a short period of time. The ruling on Saturday by a federal court in Little Rock threatens the plan, as did an order on Friday by an Arkansas state judge. The federal judge, however, provided officials with an opportunity to address her concerns at a hearing on Monday. Arkansas had scheduled the fast-paced series of executions in order to beat the expiration on its batch of one of the 3 drugs in the lethal injection cocktail. U.S. District Judge Christine Baker, in a 101-page ruling, found the state's plan would deny the inmates their legal rights by depriving them of adequate counsel because prison officials only allow a single lawyer to be present for an execution. Baker said if the attorney had to rush out to file an emergency petition, it would deprive the inmate of a lawyer to witness the execution. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Officials at PepsiCo announced today the upcoming launch of Mountain Dew Cineblast after the company's market research team unknowingly fell victim to a malicious focus group that convinced them cinnamon-flavored Mountain Dew was the next big thing.
The people in the focus group, they couldn't get enough of it. And then they said, the more cinnamon, the better. So we are going to put in more cinnamon. We are really excited for people to try this product.
According to PepsiCo's data, all gathered from a single group of ill-intentioned respondents, customers of all ages will love the new soft drink's murky brownish-green color and will soon be lining up to try the carbonated beverage jam-packed with ground cinnamon. Various members of the focus group told reporters they believed the company had made a great decision.
Cineblast is the best. I mean, I can't wait to tell all of my friends to go buy this thing.
Yeah. The only way they can make it better is if they took a couple of raw eggs, mixed them up in the bottle. People would go nuts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Well, hey there, it is Free Talk Live, and you can dial in toll-free to join us here Our number is 855-450-FREE, and we are here on Easter Sunday with you in the studio tonight. You've got me, Ian.
Me, Johnny Ray.
And me, Mark.
Our Skype username, if you want to connect with us there and sound almost like you're sitting in the studio with us, is lrn.fm. Of course, lots to talk about tonight, including the latest from Economics in One Lesson, the book club sort of thing that we've been doing here, ongoing book review, chapter by chapter. Talking about that, we've got chapter 16 coming up here tonight, which is called Stabilizing Commodities. We'll get into that when we get a chance.
Luckily, this week we've all three of us have mastered the material. We've internalized it 100%.
Actually, I haven't yet finished the chapter, but I'm on the last page.
I got you there because I did read it today.
Okay, good. So we're going to get into that here in a bit. Of course, your calls and thoughts welcome. It is Easter Sunday. Most shows probably are not live. So thanks to our board operator there at Genesis Communications Network for coming in to help us be live so we can continue to entertain you regardless of what day it is and what the holiday might happen to be. So,
I care so little about holidays that we went to the grocery store today.
No one was there, right?
No one was there. I was like, what in the world? Why is there no one in the parking lot?
Some of them close early, I think. Do you know if
it closed at 3 p.m. We showed up about 5.
Yep.
I went this morning to go to work at a retail store, and it was tumbleweeds blowing in the parking lot.
Yeah, it was pretty dead out there today on the streets of Keene, New Hampshire, where we are. But there were still some restaurants open, the Chinese places, local burger, the place that takes Bitcoin here in town. So we did go for our weekly libertarian gathering. But anyway, our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. We're here. We'll take your calls about anything. We're going to start out with a story last night that, Mark, you wanted to discuss. You had posted on the Free Talk Live Facebook page, and maybe we need to repost it. I don't know is that breaking a rule? Can you repost something that you've posted within the last day?
Yeah, I can do that. Sure.
Because it really took off. Some posts work, some posts don't as far as posting.
Oh, yeah. Some posts are as few as 600-800 people will see them. Some posts we've had as many as 18 million post views in a week. So, but obviously some go somewhere and some don't.
And this was one of the ones that went somewhere, and it went there fairly quickly. Lots of people sharing, lots of people commenting on this, and so that might be an indicator that people have strong feelings about it. What's the story?
So the story is they use a lot of terminology that I'm not entirely clear on, right? So they call this this young lady, I'm going to say that these people are high school age.
Look that way.
That's my presumption.
They didn't look like they were in college, and they were definitely older than middle school, so I would say high school.
They're biological adults, but young adults. And some people call this young lady a feminist. There's no sort of evidence in the video that she's a feminist. I don't know that she's a feminist. She has a haircut you might choose to apply.
That shortcut haircut.
Yeah, she looks, I can see how somebody might call this woman, a masculine lesbian or whatever it is that they choose to call her. Humans, no doubt, portray personality types and preferences and signal all kinds of things with the way they dress and the way they look. So, maybe that's what she was. I'm not entirely clear. But there's an argument. One would presume there appears to be some kids kind of circled up in that fight kind of circle thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Everybody loves a fight in government school.
And that seems to be what's going on. Well, yeah, of course they do. It's great entertainment that costs you nothing.
Yeah.
The video's mute, isn't it?
No.
Okay. There's just a bunch of screaming in it, more or less. I couldn't hear. It's not even, the audio's not worth playing because it's just a bunch of people yelling. I don't know, man.
One of those punches you can really hear in this audio.
Yeah, so what happens is this young lady strikes a young man. He's a black man. He's wearing glasses.
They say it was a sucker punch.
He's not looking at her, and she kind of sidles up to him.
Yeah, she doesn't appear to like what he's saying, I'm guessing. And
she kind of mushes him in the face a little bit.
She gives him a terrible punch, right? Like, if you're going to sucker punch people, if you're going to sucker punch somebody, that person better not get up, right?
It's a punch. What she did, it's a token. Right. It's a token punch.
Right. The punch is intended to portray that she is unhappy with the things that he's saying.
This is what. All right, she swings at him. He bats her in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And there was that final punch where a girl came up to try to, I don't know, do something to him, and then he just swings around and
so she punches him.
her.
He and then walks away, turns her back on him.
Yeah.
He smacks her in the side of the face, and what we would have called a Benihana, or at least
like an ear clap.
Yeah, he claps her over the ear,
that's some serious pain if he hit her right.
He could very well have ruptured her eardrum. It was a big slap. She. It's hard for me not to say she deserved it. You don't punch somebody and then turn your back on them. She did everything wrong in this.
That's why people in society don't punch each other, because of the fear of getting punched back.
Yes, and
so I think everything that unfolds in this video is pretty satisfactory to me.
Well, I mean, that's how you learn a lesson in life is you screw up, and she screwed up.
A lot of people are saying in the comments she wanted to be treated like a man. She got treated like a man.
Yeah.
And she didn't act like one, I'll tell you that. You don't turn your back after you punch on somebody. I think she expected to just sort of walk away like a tough gal or something. I don't know. And then her friend, I don't know what she
Maybe
was
she
thinking.
just figured she was immune because she's a woman.
But her friend comes after her with after the guy attempting to strike him. He blocks that blow and then hauls off with what can only be described as coming back from Omaha, right? Like he just pow right in the side of the face. And this video has gotten a lot of mileage because this guy reacted in a way that is considered in many cases unmanly. Right, he hit a woman, and I wonder, sort of in this new age of gender identity politics. Like, let's not forget this guy's black, right? So nobody wants to have my opinion on this, as somebody who is often described as white. Nobody cares what a white man has to say about, I don't know, a lesbian and a black guy fighting.
You can't identify with any of the parties involved in this situation.
No, it's not that. I can identify with all of the parties involved in the situation. But I think that our politics have come down to the point that I'm not even allowed to have an opinion. Like, there's no conservative here. This is the liberals fighting amongst themselves or something. I don't even know. I find it so confusing. Our modern mores are such a dense thicket of bear traps that I don't even have an opinion anymore. Actually, I do have an opinion. My opinion is ultimately this woman made a very unwise decision, and this guy was within his rights to react the way he did. I don't think he should have. I think that violence always looks bad on video, but I sympathize with his position. If I have to take the arbiter gavel to this, I have to say no case. Next.
It's like coming from the template of the Russian boxer with his girlfriend getting robbed. And I don't know if you guys have seen this video, but I feel like I've seen many iterations of it. It's the justifiable self-defense video, YouTube video that we love when somebody tries to steal from somebody that he shouldn't have tried to steal from.
Yeah.
And he gets a trip to the hospital for it.
There's times when I watch videos and I'm like a little elated. Right, like the bank robbers come in and they try to lay everybody down, and the old there's one right now. This old security guard comes, takes cover and pack, really? puts small groupings in on this guy, and he basically dies trying to scramble out of the bank.
Damn.
And everything in me just said, good. I'm a Quaker. I don't believe in violence. I don't think that, whatever. But that guy tried to rob that bank. He was, brandishing his weapon all over the place in a terrible fashion. And that guy put small groups in his dead butt. And I had no problem with it. But, this one, I'm like, oh, God, that looks bad. Because it's the hitting the girl thing. And people are coming down on both sides on our Facebook page.
My favorite response is from Andrew, who says, takes a true feminist to defend himself equally against all attackers. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. If you want to weigh in on the controversial high school fight, or you can take control of the airwaves and bring up anything you want here on the live Easter edition of Free Talk Live.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com.
Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from SurvivalSpeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free and join us right here on the live Easter Day edition of Free Talk Live. Our toll free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, or Skype into the show at username LRN.FM.
Most people take some kind of multivitamin. They probably go to the store, they grab one off the shelf at the supermarket or the big box store, and they think that they've got themselves covered. And, you know, that's pretty much what we were taught to do. I'm afraid that, you know, I those just aren't going to cut it. They're usually made out of synthetics. They don't have enough stuff in them to really to do the job. If you talk to somebody who's within the industry, you're going to find out that there's something significantly better. Now, Whole Food Multi-Complete really changed things for me. When you take a multivitamin, you don't expect anything to happen. You just take it, right? Well, several things happened for me when I started taking Whole Food Multi-Complete, and that's relatively quickly after beginning to take it. Obviously, you can say things like, I'm sleeping better, and that's difficult to quantify. But I can tell you that my digestive output, if you want to have a euphemism, is significantly better. Like, things are going well in that area for me. And something that was a complete surprise to me, the probiotic that's contained in Whole Food Multi-Complete caused me to sort of lose between 10 and 15 pounds, like 15 pounds. Within a couple of weeks, I was just stunned. It just kind of went away. I've been struggling to lose weight for a long time. I'm not done by any stretch of the imagination. I still need to probably lose another 10 pounds. But yeah.
You're pretty close to perfect right now.
Thank you. I used to be in size 32 pants and still have a few in the closet. It'd be nice to be able to put those on. But my 36s fit significantly better than they used to. I know that there's people out there that think I'm a jerk for, I'm having a difficult time fitting my 36s. But, everybody struggles with weight in their own way. So, anyway, Whole Food Multi-Complete has been quietly providing what the big boys won't, the perfect blend of 7 supplements. Now, that's 7 different supplements, but there are so many things listed. If you go to simplifymysupplements.com and you read the ingredients list there, that'll sell you immediately, because this is just such a better product than whatever you've been taking up to this point. And if you use our coupon code, you'll get it at cost. They're giving the first bottle to you, your first order at cost, 30% off. Simplify My Supplements with coupon code FTL. They accept Bitcoins, and they've got free shipping on orders of $60 or more. So simplifymysupplements.com. I hope you get the same results that I do. It's been great for me. SimplifyMySupplements.com, coupon code FTL.
Let's go to Parker. He's on the line, calling us from Washington State. Go ahead, Parker.
Hey, guys. So I think that this story is somewhat related to the story that you opened up the show with, which is the Second Battle of Berkeley, which happened just yesterday, where, as I understand it, and I don't have a whole lot of information because it's been a very slow news day today. There wasn't a whole lot of news about it yesterday, and I don't know if you guys covered it at all yesterday. But essentially, some anti-Trump protesters and some pro-Trump protesters ended up on Berkeley. The pro-Trump
is Berkeley the university we're referring to?
Yeah,
okay.
UC Berkeley. And some people set up a pro-free speech rally or a pro-free speech demonstration, something to that extent. And the Antifa or anti-fascists, which is very ironically named, by the way, since they employ Nazi-esque tactics to further their agenda.
They're fighting fire with fire.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So would you guys happen to know anything more about this? Or
no, it's all news to me.
Headline from Esquire. I mean, I'd seen the headlines yesterday, but I didn't look closely at it. Headline from Esquire: the violent clashes in Berkeley weren't pro-Trump versus anti-Trump. The media's oversimplification of what happened during Saturday's rally risks obscuring a long-brewing and fast escalating conflict between the far left and the far right. So they're saying it was a little deeper than what the media had made it out to be. I mean, we can dig a little bit further into this. It has to do, I guess it was all happening on those the tax day protests that we had discussed yesterday.
It may have had something to do with Trump's tax something or other.
The tax day protest was about Trump releasing his tax returns. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, in support of what you just read from that story, the Breitbart folks were central to the first Battle of Berkeley, and they're not really Trump supporters anymore, last I heard.
Really?
Yeah, because of his bombing in Syria.
And, alienating Brennan.
Oh, Bannon?
Yeah, Bannon, I'm sorry. Yes, excuse me.
Right.
So, Parker, were you just calling to ask us if we knew anything about it, or did you know something about it and wanted to comment, or were you kind of clueless on this?
Well, I wanted to get more information on it, but Luke Radowski at We Are Change, he was on the ground at the time that the riots were happening.
That guy is always wherever the action is.
He's in the thick of it, man. That's
I swear
for
to
sure.
God, the guts that guy has, like, I would follow him anywhere.
I don't know if that's a good idea, but thanks for the call tonight, Parker. I appreciate hearing from you.
I had a similar feeling come over me once when I was in boot camp. I was
that you'd follow someone anywhere?
Yeah, we had been to the rifle range at night. It was sort of a special rifle range event where we were shooting tracers and so forth. And it started to rain and thunder and lightning, so we had to evacuate the area. And I don't know, I was just young and impressionistic, and I was right behind my senior drill instructor, and he was just like the perfect man running in front of me, and I was like, I'd follow this guy anywhere.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Let's go to your calls here. We got Liberty Lover in Ohio also on Skype. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. How you doing
What's on your mind?
I was looking at this bill that apparently passed in the Connecticut Senate that apparently made it illegal to weaponize a drone, but it specifically exempted police from this rule.
Of course it did.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of the time, I didn't even realize how regulated drones were until I had read about this bill. I didn't even know you had to register them with the federal government.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a bill in New Hampshire right now, I think HB 97, that apparently restricts civilian use of drones heavily.
Yeah, it also restricts the government use of drones, so it does one good thing and it does a bad thing as well. So it's good that it restricts government use of drones, but it's bad that it restricts personal and business use of drones. And actually, I was there for the testimony on that bill this week, and I got the full hearing from the Senate committee on video. So if anybody wants to watch that, there was, I would say, the majority of the people testifying were testifying against the bill. So we will see what becomes of it. Last year, it died in, I believe, a conference committee. This year, who knows how it's going to pan out. But yeah, so anybody that wants to follow that along, you can do that. There's a full video up right now at freekeen.com from Liberty Lobby Week 13, along with cannabis decriminalization, full hearing about that.
The process of turning New Hampshire into the libertarian paradise has only begun.
Yeah, there's a lot of work
done.
to do. A lot of work to do here. If you want to stand by, Liberty Lover, you can. We can continue the discussion, whether it's on drones or whatever you want to dial in about. You can take control of the airwaves here, 855-450 free, because some people are saying that, well, drones should be restricted. I mean, let's get into some of the arguments about, what were they saying at this hearing? Why were, supposedly freedom-friendly people in favor of these drone restrictions? It's Free Talk Live.
You may own a knife, but if it's not an indie hammered knife, it's not a knife. From the forge to the grinder to the sheath, each indie hammered knife is handcrafted using God-given talent. The result is the sharpest edge a knife can have and a true work of art. See a variety of knives and the complete knife kit at ihknives.com. Indie hammered knives. Custom knives made in America.
Do you know what's lurking in your water? More than 200 contaminants could be sitting there, just waiting for your glass. With a ProPure water filter, start enjoying clean and great-tasting water today. ProPure filters, independently tested, latest water filter technology. ProPure systems do not require electricity and are easy to set up and easy to use. To find out more, visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Jesus Christ visited every tribe in America.
In America?
She's America, absolutely. There's a book that
Man,
came
he got
out.
around, didn't he?
He was in India.
How did he
China,
get from point A to point B?
He had quite a life.
in a boat?
So they took a boat from the Middle East all the way over to North America?
Absolutely. Archaeologists went and visited different tribes and followed their myths and stuff. And none of them used the name Jesus, but they all described him as a white man with long brown hair and a
now
beard.
why is it that Jesus is white? That's what I want to understand.
How did a white guy get born to a bunch of Sephardic Jews, is what I want to know.
No.
Well, God's white, so I mean, that's how.
Of course he is.
Was the Immaculate Conception. He could make that baby whatever color he wanted to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here. Our number 855-450-FREE. We're here live on Easter Sunday with you in studio tonight. It's Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Mark.
And also, I do want to let you know about My Pillow. It's a great pillow. I'm happy to lay my head on it every single night. It was great last night. It's great every night. You can get yours, and you have a 60-day money-back guarantee window of time where if you don't agree that it's the best pillow you've ever used, you can send it back to them, and they'll send you your purchase price back. Here's how you get the deal of half off your MyPillow. You go to MyPillow.com and use code FTL. That's code FTL, like Free Talk Live. MyPillow is designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. It also is washable, so you can put it in your washer and your dryer. It is designed for that. MyPillow.com, code FTL, gets you 50% off one or two for the price of one, however you want to look at it. The pillow, by the way, guaranteed to last for 10 years. So you get the 60-day money-back guarantee and then a 10-year warranty on top of that. It's a great pillow. MyPillow.com, code FTL for half off. We go back to Liberty Lover. We were talking about fights, actually. We started out with a high school fight, and then there was some controversy where a alleged feminist sucker punched a guy, and he hit back. Some people are saying you shouldn't hit a woman, but what if she hits you? Shouldn't you be able to defend yourself? Some people say a true feminist would say yes. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, and then the larger discussion of this clash that happened in Berkeley, which we can get further into here in a moment. But go ahead, Liberty Lover, you wanted to say, if you had more, go for it.
First of all, I can vouch for the pillows. They're extremely nice. I got one as a gift last year.
Oh, right on.
Second of all, something I wanted to comment on what you just said. I did hear about that high school fight, and a lot of the times I notice, I don't know why, but it seems to me it seems like that whole never hit a woman rule is like a defense mechanism for people to say whatever they want and not expect to get hit for it.
Well, I don't think that generally if somebody's saying something, it's probably best if you don't hit them. But I mean, I'm not saying that you should expect to go around saying whatever you want and not get hit. I'm just saying that it's probably best as a course of action. I think it's generally best as a course of action. This guy would have looked better, although the video would never have gone viral, had he just brushed off that punch, because she didn't land much of a punch. If he'd have just brushed it off and ignored it, but he went ahead.
I agree. I mean, odds are he was probably fired up about it. But if you are hit, I think, yes, you do have the right to hit back. As long as you didn't start the confrontation.
Well, some people would say that we don't know what preceded the hit, because the video basically picks right up at her hitting him. So we don't get to hear what sort of interaction they might have had prior to that, which would have been interesting to see. But some people would say that words are aggression and that you have a right to hit somebody who says something offensive to you.
Oh, yeah, I guess that could kind of count, but I guess it goes back to what Mark just said. It's probably best you don't hit somebody. We don't know what preceded. It was probably, you said this woman was like a feminist or something.
We don't know.
She's
got a butch haircut.
We have all the stuff that's thrown out there, and I have no evidence of anything. It's not like these people are giving interviews.
The only way words can be aggression is if they're pitched at a volume that ruptures an eardrum.
Oh, they could be threats.
What if they're threats? What if it's "I'm going to kill you, Jonny Ray"?
I was about to throw.
If you believed me, that is.
I was about to throw that out there.
I'm gonna.
What if I'm reaching for a gun as I'm saying, "Jonny Ray, I'm going to end your life"?
Oh man. Sure. Yeah. Threats.
Yeah.
I can see somebody trying to explain. That's not aggression.
Thanks for the call, Liberty Lover.
I suspect a world where people carried guns on their hips, threats would be far less common.
Yep, I suspect that's true.
I suspect you'd want to just skin that smoke wagon and take care of the business that you want to take care of and not talk about it.
I tend to agree with Jonny Ray on this, though, that sticks and stones may break bones, but words will never hurt. Ultimately, no matter what offensive thing is being said, that's never justification for the use of violence in defense against those offensive words, with the possible exception of an actual objective threat to one's life.
I would like to talk about how open carrying would be relevant in this Berkeley incident. So
we can talk more about Berkeley coming up here. Let's go to AJ. He's in Evansville, Indiana. AJ, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
I just want to say I love the show. I've been listening for about 6 months now, a little while.
All right.
And I just love the show. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about the North Korea and just how everyone thinks they're going to be launching nuclear strikes. They're not launching, but testing, right?
Well, apparently they couldn't even get one off the launch pad the other day.
Well, they've launched rockets in the past. They're testing all the time. They want very badly to have an intercontinental ballistic missile with a nuclear warhead.
Yeah, they don't have it.
They don't have it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just think I can't put it in words. I'm sorry, but.
Yeah, are you worried about it or not worried about it?
I'm not too worried because I think mostly they're just bluffing, honestly.
I think so. I think that they may have some warheads. There's some speculation that they have those. Certainly, they can spend money on things, but they don't seem to have the real technical know-how to really do anything with the stuff that they have.
I think the biggest danger we have going on here is that Donald Trump seems to want to go to war with North Korea, or at least that's the saber rattling that's going on Twitter, for God's sake, threatening a nuclear power.
He's the first Twitter president.
On Twitter, and he's basically telling China to get on board. Now remember, last month he was saying China's the big, the big communist enemy. Now he wants them on board.
Manipulator.
Currency manipulator and all this other stuff. This guy flip-flops so fast nobody can keep up with him, and then he's upset that other people don't flip with him. Let's point out that South Korea, the ones who have to live next door to these lunatics, doesn't want Trump messing with within their politics at all. They're like, go away, you man with crazy comb over. Get out of here.
Yeah, wasn't Mike Pence just in South Korea the other night?
I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully he smooths over whatever Trump's doing.
AJ, anything else you want to share tonight? Go ahead.
I just want to, you who were talking about, or I said they're bluffing. I really honestly think the United States could just about wipe out anyone except Russia. And even then, it's almost a tie, because they know as fast as they could wipe out us, we could wipe out them.
I can tell you I read an article today from antiwar.com. They were quoting a general who said that there isn't a war game scenario with North Korea that doesn't end up as a nuclear conflict.
Just because one side would get defended by another, somebody else would jump in.
Likely, so North Korea is, all about pride, right? Like they're very, very proud of who they are. But what they are is a mess, right? Some backward little agricultural country. So when you have these, it's a country with small man complex and nuclear weapons. You do not mess with the small man with a nuclear weapon. You do not mess with the petty guy who can't see past his nose.
Like Donald Trump, you mean?
Well, I sincerely hope
this dude Donald Trump just got trolled by the tax day protesters yesterday. We just talked last night. The main story that we led the show off with was these nationwide tax day protests, which weren't tax day protests like you would think a tax day protest would be. Like when I think of protesting tax day or protesting on tax day, I would think it should be an anti-tax protest. But no, this was a pro-tax protest, which was only protesting the fact that Donald Trump won't release his tax returns.
Right.
And according to NBC News, President Donald Trump on Twitter today lashed out against citizens who'd taken to the streets to exercise their First Amendment rights while claiming that thousands of people who on Saturday demanded Trump finally release his full tax returns were paid protesters. Trump tweeted, quote, "The election is over." He said further, someone should look into who paid for the small organized rallies, he said.
Can you imagine any other president stooping to the point that they would address this?
Yeah, he totally got trolled by him.
What a sucker.
The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. So he's got that, attitude of wanting a fight.
855-450-3733.
It's Free Talk Live.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-976-5978. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-976-5978. That's 1-800-976-5978. 1-800-976-5978.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. HydroCare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us right here. It is the live Sunday edition of the program. It's Easter Sunday. With you in studio, Ian.
Johnny Ray.
And Mark.
And, of course, you can join us online anytime you want. Just head on over to freetalklive.com and enjoy the features that you'll find on our site. If you like what we're doing on Free Talk Live, then please, you can shop with us. All you have to do is go to shop.freetalklive.com, and you can enter Amazon through the links you'll find there. There's Amazon US, Amazon UK, Amazon Canada. You just click into the right, Amazon for you, Free Talk Live. We'll get a portion of your purchase price that way. So you're going to do the shopping anyway. You might as well go through shop.freetalklive.com. That way Free Talk Live gets a portion instead of Amazon keeping everything for themselves. You go to shop.freetalklive.com. That helps us out as we continue here. You may take control of the airwaves. We were talking about Donald Trump being trolled by the tax day protesters yesterday. You know, normally with protests like this, the wise thing to do for a president that was being targeted by said protest. The protesters want Trump to release his tax day returns. Why anyone cares about that, I don't know. I said on Off the Air Live last night, isn't this tax day demand or these tax return demands, isn't this the liberal equivalent of the Obama release your birth certificate? Remember that? Yeah. During the Obama administration? Isn't it the same kind of idea, like, here's some stupid paperwork we think's really important, and you need to release it, except the liberal side of that.
And then Obama released something called a birth certificate that didn't look like a birth certificate, kind of like Trump released some tax return.
Oh, he did?
Well,
I heard something about 2 pages.
It was released, but we don't know who released it.
I see.
So, okay. Like, I just don't care.
Right.
All of it's all politics to me. If you care about Trump's tax return, the chances are very good that you voted Democrat in every election for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
One of the headlines said that President Trump was the first president in 40 years not to share
That's right.
his tax information or tax return. And that's interesting. I didn't necessarily know how true that was, but also I don't care.
I don't either.
That's how I feel about it. Is just like, oh, good.
There's so much more to care about when it comes to what Donald Trump is doing. Let's say killing innocent people in the Middle East. But the thing is, these people who are protesting the tax thing, they can't really hold him to account on that, right? Because otherwise somebody could come back to them and say, well, wait a minute. How come you're so concerned about innocent people dying in the Middle East now under drone strikes when you didn't have the same concerns when Obama was doing the same thing? So, this is the best they got. They can't take an anti-Trump war stance because he's basically continuing Obama's bombing policies as Obama was continuing the Bush bombing policies. Yes, Obama escalated them, and yes, Trump appears to be escalating over Obama. But now you're just talking about quibbling over the numbers of innocent people who are dying. They didn't object when Obama was doing the killing, so they couldn't possibly object now when Trump is doing it. They've accepted that as just something presidents do, and now we've got to hold him to account on his tax returns because that's the best they have. It's pathetic. It really is.
What I think is most pathetic is, so I go to Quaker church, and Quakers, these days Quakers are Democrats, by and large. At least the ones in the liberal unprogrammed meetings. Mm-hmm. And liberal doesn't mean...
In New England, yeah.
Liberal doesn't mean... to Quakers the same thing it means in politics, but apparently there's a lot of crossover there. Is these Quakers voting for Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama? I mean, nothing I found more distasteful than pulling up to a Quaker meeting and seeing an Obama with a peace sign for the O sticker. Are you kidding me? You disgusting, two-faced liar! I mean, what else? It's just so frustrating to see this stuff. The anti-war left, I welcome them back. I say welcome. Your principles stink.
Well, I mean, it's okay.
Welcome.
Right. Well, I agree with you. If somebody wants to protest the war now, they can just come out and admit, okay, I was blinded by Obama. Just go ahead. And
I'd be okay with that.
Right. Just accept that you were blinded by partisanship and you were wrong. You should have protested Obama. You didn't. It's too late to do that now, but we're glad to have you against Trump's war. But I don't think most of them are against those things. They're just against the fact that he hasn't released tax returns. That's what motivated thousands of people to turn out across the United States. I mean, I'm presuming there were 150 supposed events that were scheduled. I don't know what the average attendance was at each one of these, but presumably there were a few folks out there. So let's just say there were thousands of people. I mean, that's what motivated them. Tax returns. Toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Ricky in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live.
Brother Ian, Brother Mark, good evening.
Johnny Ray's here too.
Brother Johnny Ray.
Go ahead with your
and
thoughts.
Brother Johnny Ray, I'm sorry there.
Hey, Brother Ricky.
All right. Oh, sorry about that.
All right, we're ready to hear it. Go ahead.
I was listening to the show tonight, and I heard a comment about this whole Berkeley thing here.
Yeah.
And I think back to my predictions a good number of months ago when I was talking about the conflict starting. And I remember you chiming in.
You talking about like a civil war, you mean?
Correct. Yeah. And then that was between the trumpeters and I don't even want to call it the Hillary people because I think it's beyond that. I think that includes also, would be any anti-establishment or anti-federalist individual. And the problem with
you think
all
that
of
the
this,
Clinton people are anti-establishment?
I'm talking about the supporters.
Of who?
I mean, I think everybody looks at it where, okay, you want to look at the lesser two evils and all of that. And for me, that was an easy way to say it. I don't even like to use that word when it comes to individuals.
I don't think it was. I recall, Ricky, it's not like you're a new caller or anything like that, but I recall talking to you about Bernie Sanders, and you were in the Clinton camp before Sanders was out of the race. You were a Clinton supporter. You're not a lesser of two evils voter. You picked your evil. And you stuck with it.
Absolutely, but Bernie, I like Bernie, but Bernie is socialist, and Bernie got a lot of.
So's Hillary. So's Trump. They're all socialists.
Well, but the point that I'm trying to make behind all this, and that's the big problem. The big problem is the psychological effect that the tactics utilized within the Trump campaign have had on individuals like the trumpeters. I mean, generally being brainwashed. I mean, this man can do no wrong.
There's a lot of people. There are a lot of people turning on this guy. I mean, they're turning all the time on him. He's alienating.
Yeah, his supporters.
Government maybe is all for him.
No. Look, his supporters are turning on him. Different facets of them turn all the time. This attack in Syria and the Moab bomb, that caused people to turn. There's all kinds of things that are going on that are causing that he's alienating.
But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because they are so steadfast. No matter what it is, it's always pointing the finger. And the reality is, this is just an example of what's to come. And then you have.
You're saying Berkeley is. Hold on, just to clarify. You're saying the clash in Berkeley, the recent clashes, are an example of what's to come nationwide?
Absolutely, and I already started that seeing happening with the Million Woman March and all that stuff. You would listen to what people were saying within that. And worse than that, you have all this madness. I mean, I'm not so wild over giving the military ultimate power to do what they want. Because remember what I said. It's going to be Russia. It's going to be ourselves. And I said China. Well, this China move does not surprise me. Neither does Russia. Putin's pissed at this point.
What China move?
And I don't blame him because I do believe that there was funny business. I do believe there was collusion. I mean, hell, the WikiLeaks stuff, both Trump and what is his name, Roger Stone, and he's a slime ball. They knew all about that stuff before it was coming out.
I don't even know what you're talking about at this point.
Yeah, you're stringing facts together.
Isn't Roger Stone Mr. Deep State? Like
he's
the guy who started writing about
the WikiLeaks stuff before it was released.
Yeah, this is like a Gush's
Gallop.
It's just a bunch of unrelated facts sort of thrown at each other.
Gush's Gallop, that's a new one.
The idea is you throw a whole bunch of facts out at once.
To sound like you're informed.
Most of them, facts aren't even the right term for it because they're not even facts. You just throw out these
statements,
factoids that sound facty. Some of them are true, some of them are false, and then you recreate the narrative. Yes, there was some violence. Yes, Ricky predicted a civil war. I don't recall if he predicted people are predicting civil wars all the time. I don't recall if it was a Trump versus the rest of them civil war, but
well, the article here at Esquire, which we haven't gotten into about the clashes in Berkeley, say it's not anything about pro-Trump versus anti-Trump. They say it's the anti-fascists versus the white nationalists is what happened out in Berkeley.
Okay.
The toll-free number
here it looked like
tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves. To me, this is just more evidence that we need to see secession happen. These people cannot get along. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
Bitcoin.com is the most unique online destination in the Bitcoin universe. Buying Bitcoin? Do it here. Want to speak your mind to other Bitcoin users? Our forum is always open and censorship-free at forum.bitcoin.com. There's no bigger Bitcoin believers than the Bitcoin.com team. That's why this site is a one-stop shop for everything you need to get into Bitcoin life. You can also play games at games.bitcoin.com. Learn more at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 16th, 2017. Silver is trading at $18.54 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,285 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.9 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,182. Antiwar.com reports spending some 2 years under siege by al-Qaeda and its allied forces in Idlib province. Shiite civilians from 2 towns began a mass evacuation as part of a town swap deal, but didn't get far outside of Idlib before they were attacked in a massive car bombing which killed at least 100 people. The convoy of buses were heading into government territory but were targeted with a huge explosion in a rebel-controlled area outside of Aleppo. The attack reportedly killed not only a large number of civilians in the convoy, but between 20 and 30 rebels who were present to guard the convoy. The whole population transfer is apparently in limbo after the blast, with rebels accusing the government of violating the deal by not sending enough security to escort the rebel fighters and their families out of the towns near Lebanon, which are being evacuated on the other side of the deal. As a result, the rebels had stopped the Shiite convoy at the time of the attack. This means that in the wake of the attack and its huge casualties, thousands of Shiites are basically stranded in rebel-held territory, not particularly far from the towns where they were forced to abandon, and while the Red Crescent is providing food while they wait, many say they've gone for some 30 hours and have no access to toilets. Despite this being a bombing attack on pro-government Shiites in a rebel-held area, the rebels were quick to blame the Syrian military for the attack, calling for international intervention against them. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Delta Airlines began granting its agents the ability to offer passengers up to almost $10,000 to give up some seats on overbooked flights. A company spokesperson said supervisors were previously only able to offer up to $1,350, but as of Friday, they were given the ability to offer as much as $9,950 in compensation. The change will also allow gate agents to offer up to $2,000 in compensation, more than double the previous cap of $800. The Department of Transportation requires airlines compensate passengers for being involuntarily bumped from their flight with a maximum required payment of $1,350. Delta also reinforced the company's priority of reaching a voluntary agreement with passengers rather than involuntarily denying boarding in a memo announcing the raised compensation caps. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports a federal judge on Saturday temporarily blocked plans by Arkansas to carry out a rapid series of executions this month after the inmates argued the state's rush to the death chamber was unconstitutional and reckless. Arkansas, which has not carried out an execution in 12 years, planned to begin the lethal injections of at least 6 convicted murderers on Monday and complete the executions before the end of April. Since the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated the death penalty in 1976, no state has ever put as many inmates to death in such a short period of time. The ruling on Saturday by a federal court in Little Rock threatens the plan, as did an order on Friday by an Arkansas state judge. The federal judge, however, provided officials with an opportunity to address her concerns at a hearing on Monday. Arkansas had scheduled the fast-paced series of executions in order to beat the expiration on its batch of one of the 3 drugs in the lethal injection cocktail. U.S. District Judge Christine Baker, in a 101-page ruling, found the state's plan would deny the inmates their legal rights by depriving them of adequate counsel because prison officials only allow a single lawyer to be present for an execution. Baker said if the attorney had to rush out to file an emergency petition, it would deprive the inmate of a lawyer to witness the execution. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, mothers across the nation invented a new drug to worry about, confirming that the completely fictitious new substance was appearing in schoolyards across the nation and is easily created from simple household products like sugar, window cleaner, and petroleum jelly. Calling the totally made-up narcotic scramp, mothers in desperate need of something to fret over deluded themselves into constantly agonizing over the widespread drug epidemic that exists solely in their minds.
My son sits in his room for hours and hours. It must be scramp. He's a scramp head. I bet they'll figure out how to scramp with this, too.
In other news, a man confidently strides through a beaded curtain without parting it. A father takes a picture of his daughter every day from birth until he abandons his family. And the same homeless man is always begging for change on the same United flight. Stalled contract negotiations have prevented me from reviewing any more news until I receive a co-producer credit. But for more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You are welcome to join us here as we launch into the second hour of the live Sunday edition. We're here on Easter Sunday, by the way. So if you were worried that this was somehow a repeat, we don't do that stuff on Free Talk Live. If you want to hear us again, you can always go and download the podcast over at freetalklive.com or download individual archives, whatever it is that floats your boat. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Mark.
So we can talk more about Donald Trump being trolled by the tax day protesters and what happened out in Berkeley. Was that your typical tax day protest turned upside down, or was it, as the folks over at Esquire.com are saying, a fight between the anti-fascists and the white nationalists? Plus, we've got Economics in One Lesson coming up. We've been reading that chapter by chapter and talking about it on the air here, so we'll get into that discussion as well. But to your calls and thoughts to start things out here in the second hour of this live Sunday show, we've got Abel. He's on the line in New Hampshire. Go ahead.
Hey, good to hear from you guys. Didn't we just have, I don't know, maybe up to 10 days, 2 weeks ago, a professor, actually, I think, out there in Cali land that was bragging about, punching some alt-right guy. I mean, didn't that get reported? I mean, she was even on the news somewhere about it, and all proud of the fact that, we're fighting back. We're and it was an unprovoked attack, in a kind of a protest situation. You guys don't remember that?
Vaguely. I mean, I do recall there was another fight out at Berkeley a couple months ago.
What was the name of the guy with the shaved side head? When he was the racist and he got punched in the face and he was a Trump supporter. He was the guy who Jeffrey Tucker ran out of the bar.
Spectre? Milo.
No, not Milo.
Spencer.
Spencer. Sorry.
Spencer. Yeah. But
he didn't get punched by a woman though. He got punched by a black male, I believe.
No, there was a woman that claimed.
Well, who cares? I mean, it doesn't matter who done what.
The point is that they drew the first blood. You know what I mean?
Who did?
The Antifa people.
Okay.
And it was this woman. She was actually on the news and everything. She was bragging about. She was a professor too. She wasn't just some student or something. Mm-hmm. She was somebody with ribbons and colors and whatever they wear. When they do their graduations. It's just, what do they expect if they're going to get out there in front of the news and be punching people, men or women, I don't care. But I mean, particularly a woman, it's like, what? Can't we talk? Can't we use our brains? I'm tired of this stuff.
What's going to happen when you put an anti-fascist in the same room with a white nationalist? What are they going to talk about exactly?
I don't know, but it'd be interesting if they were forced to sit down and, either shut up or or say something and see what they come up with, because either one of them, they're off in two different little fantasy worlds that never come close to reality, and I don't know.
Well, I agree with you. It would be fine to attempt to have a conversation, but I can't say I would hold any high hopes for any kind of meeting of the minds or a coming together on anything, except for the fact that both sides might embrace violence as their tool.
Yeah, I think that what many of us want is for everybody to come together. But what that usually means is, for everybody, when they say this, is that I want everybody to agree with me.
Doesn't happen.
And it simply does not happen. It doesn't happen in the libertarian world.
Yeah, no.
We can't get people who philosophically agree to simply agree on implementation of these ideas, and to the point that they will call names and disassociate and do all kinds of crazy stuff surrounding it. I think that what it ultimately has to come down to is that we all need our own little enclaves to try our ideas out in and see how they go.
Let the anti-fascist people move together, let the white nationalist people move together, and leave everybody else alone.
And if, I think you'd agree with me on this one, if everybody was open carrying, there wouldn't have been any fights at this Berkeley event.
That's true.
That's a good point.
And I'm looking at a stream right here with the libertarian group on Facebook, and I just had to block a guy. I don't hardly block anybody. I've got 1,000 friends, and I've only blocked 6 people, and I just blocked this guy. It was Yuri. I don't know who he was, but he was on a thing that was talking about this alt libertarian.
Oh no. There's an alt libertarian now? What does that mean?
I'm telling you, there is, and it's just going nuts.
What does it mean? What does it mean to be an alt libertarian?
To me, it means trolling.
Hey, thanks, Abel,
I'm
for
with
the
you.
call, man. I appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I was saying, actually, I was talking with Vincent from Off the Air Live last night, some people will criticize the New Hampshire Liberty Movement because sometimes there's some people who don't get along. There's enough people living here.
Right. Everybody wants so many people who want to move want community.
Yeah.
But what
We've got that in spades.
Yeah. What they don't understand is community can only be so large
before it splinters.
And it has to splinter because some people just aren't going to like other people and the way they live and the way they think and all that sort of thing. Really, what you need for community is a few good friends. And I don't know, maybe for you it's 3, maybe for you it's 10, maybe for you it's 15. I'm going out on a limb at this point. Yeah. But
as far as good friends are concerned.
Yeah, community, what does that mean? It just means everybody agrees with me, and they will never agree with you. If you're not going to move for freedom because you want everybody to agree with you, stay gone, because you're a problem.
See, I don't have to get along with people. I don't have to agree with them on everything. They just have to be reasonable, kind, good people. But there's some people who don't like me, and that's fine. And there's some people who don't like Mark, and that's fine. And Johnny Ray, you keep to yourself. So I think that people like Johnny Ray. But
there's some people that don't like me.
I bet there are.
And it is not fine.
Yeah, that's just how it is. It is fine, because what are you going to do about it? You can't change it.
I can eliminate the person
from your life, maybe, but the point I wanted to make was sometimes people will object. They'll see, let's say, some of the they'll become aware of some sort of schism or drama that has happened between some people in New Hampshire. Then they'll say things like, see, there's too much drama there. I don't want to move there. And the thing is, there's not really that much drama. There's some people who argue on Facebook.
Facebook, yeah.
But
Facebook is what ruined New Hampshire.
But nothing's been ruined. There's still plenty of activists here.
I try to avoid talking to activists on Facebook because sooner or later they're going to say something that annoys the crap out of me.
Facebook sucks, but there's still plenty of activists here who are doing real life activism and making a difference. Unlike every other state where the libertarians are ignored, marginalized, and basically a non-issue as far as the status quo is concerned, here the libertarians are a real threat. And the thing I wanted to point out was, yeah, sure, there's disagreements between people, But here in New Hampshire, if you move here, let's say it's Free State Project or Shire Society or whatever, if you move as part of this liberty migration, there's so many libertarians and voluntarists here that you get to pick the ones you like. Everywhere else, you only get what you get. If you're in, where we're from, Mark, in Sarasota, Florida, there was 10 people at a libertarian meeting?
Not one of which I would have hung out with.
On a good meeting, there'd be 10. And we're talking about a city with hundreds of thousands of people living in the county, right? So there's a lot more people there, but you don't get to choose anything. It's just, these are the libertarians you have. You can either work with them or not.
Right. And you didn't have disagreements on what would be effective and what wouldn't be effective because everything that was done was ineffective.
What little was done, was ineffective. But here, if there's somebody you don't like, that's okay. You don't have to work with that person. There's dozens and dozens, if not hundreds more people who you can choose from to hang out with, develop relationships with, have fun with, do activism with. And the more people that move here, the better that choice is. 855-450 free. Just ignore the haters. It's Free Talk Live.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com.
Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-765-9681 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-765-9681. Again, that's 800-765-9681.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can dial toll-free. Live Sunday edition, Easter Sunday. We're here. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. We can talk more about the clashes between the Antifascists and apparently white nationalists at the Berkeley campus recently. That happened a few days back, or maybe yesterday. Anyway, toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. If you want to join us with you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Mark.
To the phones, to your calls and thoughts. We go to David. He's in New Mexico on Skype, actually. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, you were talking yesterday and or the day before about a couple things. One on somebody used the phrase free speech, and I'm not really using that same phrase as applied to people speaking over the radio. But first of all, there was some conversation on Bush, some statement he had made about the Constitution just being a piece of GD paper, and I don't know where you were on that one, but first of all. If the statement says the Constitution wasn't written on paper, it was written on parchment, but bigger than that,
wasn't it hemp? The drafts were on hemp.
Yeah, the final product was on parchment.
Okay, and what is parchment versus paper?
Skin, sheep skin, like when you graduate from college.
Okay.
Yeah, in the old day, they put it on the best quality they had, the vellum, the sheepskin skin.
Okay.
But anyway, and then also the source of that, some rag in D.C. Had a shady history of unsubstantiated stuff. They're the ones that had published it, and then when confronted on it, they completely withdrew everything and conceding that it was was never said. The guy was basing the article on emails that had been sent to him uncorroborated. So in other words, people just sent some emails to him, and he published it as if it was a reliable source. So anyway, that's what I read anyway. But what I had called about is under the category once again of New Mexico, the FBI special agent in charge saying that New Mexico is the most corrupt state in the nation. Also, that reporter Greg Palast, you know that name?
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Yeah, some investigative reporter. He chalks New Mexico. I don't think so,
no?
But
Okay.
I don't know. But he has a recent documentary about what the best what democracy you can buy or something like that. So if he did die, it was shortly after his latest documentary.
No, he's still alive.
Yeah. So anyway, he says the same thing for whatever that's worth. But under that category, and when you're talking about somebody said about free speech and being on the radio, and no, you don't have a right to, for instance, call, and I don't have a right to call into your program and be heard on anything I want to say. But there are some other under the category of mitigating and or what's the other word? Circumstances. Anyway, there's a station, for instance, the public station here, and let me interject that the New Mexico budget, which has been vetoed so far, is every year is about $6 billion. 60% of that $6 billion annually goes to public educations, which includes the public universities. And one of our radio stations, is the college radio station, which also is the NPR, PRI, all that stuff.
Yep.
So they're getting funded, not only by whatever federal dollars come their way that are in jeopardy, but
usually
they get
about
funded.
10% of their funding comes from the feds. Go ahead.
Right, and then since they're a college station, they get what they're housed on the college itself, in their building maintenance,
right.
Lights, all that stuff. They're being funded, and some of their staff are paid. And then they have a radio station, and then they have political programs on their radio station, and they have including a call-in program like this one called the KUNM Call-In Show. Elaine Baumgartel is the director there, And so the interesting part is that they have not only have they banned me from calling in because I speak to them like I speak to you on the subjects that I'm interested in and in the manner that you hear me speaking. Not only have they banned me, they actually called the UNM police department and tried to get one of the sergeants there. One of their sergeants called me up one day after their program. I had tried to call in and had told me that to stop calling them. And so that's when I kicked into, I'm not a lawyer, but lawyer mode, and started asking him some questions and making some statements to him. And he was telling me that I had to stop that, and he was giving me a warning. And we got to the point where I basically told him I'm not going to stop calling. It's a public institution. They're soliciting.
I think you got an argument there. I mean, if they're getting funded by the government, then they should be allowing anybody to call in. I think you make a point.
They take Sarah's call every time she calls in. So obviously they let anybody call in that
they agree with.
That they agree with, yeah. And the only reason I'm doing this, and rather
have
than
you considered?
doing
Here's a question: have you considered going and applying to get your own show on the station?
No, I haven't, because I couldn't put my money where my mouth is. I don't really have the ability to pull that off. If somehow
it shouldn't cost any money. Most of these college radio stations,
he's talking figuratively, I believe.
Well, what were you saying then?
Me?
Yeah, can you do it?
I was saying, I could do it as a test. I could do it, to make my point and see what happens.
Yeah,
and
see if they deny you. Because as I understand it, many of these college radio stations, you do not have to actually be in the college to be on the station. They are frequently looking for volunteers, and usually after a certain amount of volunteer hours have been logged, that you do have a chance to have your own show. At least that's my understanding. I think that's how they do it here in the college station in Keene, and that might be a sort of a workaround. Maybe they don't have an obligation to take your call on their show, but maybe there is more of an obligation to allow you as a member of the community to have your own space to speak on the air, even though if it's in the middle of the night, it's still a space. I wish you good luck with that, David. Thanks for the call. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Obviously, that's a larger burden than having to just simply call in and, spout off. Then you would have to actually hold down a show for an hour or whatever the time slot would happen to be. But many times they're looking for, these stations don't shut down during the summertime, for instance, right? So when the college isn't in session, somebody's got to keep running that thing. And then a lot of the shows on the station here, as I understand it, are hosted by locals, many of whom have been hosting shows on that station for a couple decades.
This show started on an FM in Sarasota, Florida, and at 7 o'clock on a Sunday, which is the radio version of Siberia. It is Nowheresville.
But we had wall-to-wall phone calls.
We had wall-to-wall phone calls because people could call into a local station and talk to local people. That's incredibly powerful.
We had more calls.
Those same people can call into a national show and talk to national people, but for whatever reason, they don't do it.
We had more calls on that local show than we do any Sunday night on almost any
Generally,
Sunday night here.
We were wall-to-wall. Yep. Wall to wall, and
on a little 4,000, what was it? 4,000,
4,500 watts, but it was
outside the market,
being broadcast on mono.
What they call a rim shot, where it's not even in the whole market.
So rim shot, call it a 7,000 watt, just to be generous, because it would be the equivalent of that. Yeah. But really a nothing FM, and it was wall to wall calls, and always was, because people could be on locally.
Our toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE, whether you want to talk about the clash in Berkeley, economics in one lesson, which I think we should get into coming up so we don't miss it, because we've been remiss to some extent in covering every week a new chapter in economics in one lesson. So let's prep that coming up here, and you can join us at 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No-Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in here toll free and bring up what you want. It's the live Sunday edition. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype on in here. It's Skype username lrn.fm.
Healthcare's messed up in this country. Not necessarily the healthcare you get, but, well, the health insurance and who's paying for it and all that sort of thing. I mean, the government's gotten involved, but it's not like it's gotten involved recently. It's been involved for decades, and costs have been going up as a result for decades. The best solution is to get government out of healthcare, to get their little tentacles out as best you can. Now, you obviously can't do that because you can't live in a vacuum, but the closest you can come is, it's Health Excellence Select. What it is it's freedom from health insurance. They've got a system where you can get a health assessment daily if you want, no extra charge. 24-hour access to doctors. 24-hour access to doctors. You can get a medical information card that you could give to EMS or first responders, emergency room, whatever medical professional you want, so that they'd have your information, your health information immediately. They'll also do checking around to make sure that you get the lowest price. They did this for me, and it's true. I mean, I double-checked them, and yep, they get the lowest price. HealthExcellenceSelect.com, any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractor, acupuncture, massage. You'll love the service, and you'll love the price. They're significantly less costly than health insurance, even if in some cases they're less costly than what you pay your portion. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. $600 for a family. Less than $600 for a family. HealthExcellenceSelect.com.
Let's go to Sarah. She's in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Johnny, Ray, and Mark.
Yes. Did you hear that in 1953 that they went to North Korea to release the prisoners from America and Britain?
Who did?
And then
Who went to North Korea?
They turned communist. Well, from North Korea. So during the Korean War, the North Koreans took prisoners, Americans and British. And what happened was that they turned communist. They said, "I don't want to come back."
Oh, you're talking about the story of the 4 defectors.
I don't know about 4. I was told that it was like more like 27. There was like maybe 7 from Britain, and there was like maybe 20 from America during the 1950s.
I don't think so.
Well, there have definitely been some, right? There have been some people who've been in North Korea who,
The one guy
wartime,
that I saw the documentary on was probably arguably, I don't know what the proper medical terms are for people who have an IQ that is well below 100 at the time, but, like a moron.
6 American servicemen are known to have defected to North Korea after the war. This according to Google.
And some of them attempted to return.
Well, I don't know, but if you're, I guess, surrounded by communists, you just turn communist. That's how it is. You're people you're surrounded by, it kind of wears off on you. They kind of
I think that's accurate. That most people sort of pick up the cultural conversations that are going on around them, but people tend to sort of turn from communism when the starvation sets in, like it does in North Korea, like it has in North Korea. Like that'll really turn you anti-communist, is when you see your kids dying because they don't get enough food.
Okay, I'm giving you some bum information. Somehow, there's a Wikipedia article that has a list of American and British defectors in the Korean War. The first sentence says, "This list names the 22."
Oh, Sarah was close.
UN soldiers and POWs, 1 British and 21 Americans.
21
who declined repatriation to the United Kingdom and United States after the Korean War in favor of remaining in China and their subsequent fates.
Well, there's also what's
remaining
called
in China.
Also listed are soldiers who defected to North Korea.
Okay. So the documentary I saw, I think it was 4 or 6 soldiers that were in North Korea. And they were, by the way, they were set aside because Koreans, but specifically North Koreans in this case, are sort of very racist. So you weren't allowed to date Koreans or anything like that. They had a particular bar where people who were not Korean could go and hang out and that sort of thing.
There's also something, sort of a thing known as Stockholm Syndrome, where an individual who is being, let's say, held by terrorists or held by somebody against their will initially can come to identify with their captors, and so that might also be part of what's going on here besides just folks rubbing off. There's actually something that's called Stockholm Syndrome.
And plus, Sarah, you know that North Korea is not communist, actually. It's just an autocracy, right?
Well, how come everybody says that they're communist? Look, I'm a communist, and I turned communist and hanging out in Boston. But there's all these, 7 communist parties.
Yeah, well,
and then 10 communist party meetings.
The rhetoric that you're going to hear in Boston, the rhetoric you're going to hear in Boston. The rhetoric you're going to hear in Boston is going to be completely different than the reality that you see in North Korea. So they may talk communist, but they aren't communist. Does that make sense?
But there's the American Communist Party.
Yeah.
And the thing is, North Korea, how do you know it's that bad when none of us were not allowed to go there? You've never been there.
It's true. I have never been there, but I have seen the news stories and the news stories of where.
Why don't you go there?
I don't go there. It's fiction.
Huh?
They don't want Americans over there.
Just travel to Russia. You can cross over from there.
Yeah, you can go to North Korea. Sure.
You don't want to go there. If you really wanted to go there, you'd figure out a way. Because the folks from Vice News went there. If Vice News can go there, you can go there.
People go to North Korea. It can be done.
Yeah, you go over to whatever the part of Russia is that is near North Korea, and then you just take a train over.
Well, you know what? Full of fake news. You know why? They say America is great, but there's starving people here. There's ghettos
There
here.
aren't starving people in
Where
America.
are the starving people? I mean, poor people in America are fat.
No, I get letters from Appalachian Mountains asking me for money because they're starving children.
They just want your money.
Advertisement of
Well,
starving children.
Sarah, send us. We're starving here. We're starving here. Send us your money.
Send us your welfare check.
According to Tom Woods, back in the 80s or 90s, there was a campaign to get the word out that 1 in 5 American children was struggling with starvation.
Right. It was food sensitive. Or
Does that mean they didn't get
some
dessert?
term?
It meant that like sometime in the past 50 days they went to bed hungry. That was the question. If they answered yes to that question, that meant that they were fit to be described as starving.
We suffer with that here in New Mexico. You know, they talk about women getting beat up in Russia and Iraq. You know what? Bunch of women get beat up right here in New Mexico.
What about the guys who get beat up? Don't you care about them?
What'd you say?
What about the men who get beaten up by their girlfriends? Don't you care? Don't you care about the men?
I guess so. You know,
Okay.
I suppose.
Yeah, you understand that female abuse of men is more common, right? You understand that? It's at least as, if not more common than male abuse of females?
Well, I don't know about that.
You don't know. Well, that's because you've never heard anything about it, because most of the time when men get beaten by their girlfriends or wives, they don't report it. Thanks for the call tonight, Sarah. Appreciate it. The toll-free domestic violence is a problem from both sides.
I haven't seen documentation that shows that men are more abused physically than women. I have seen documentation that suggests that they are equally as abused.
Well, but there's a bunch of them who won't report it. So all they can do is they can only report on the statistics, right? And you only get a statistic when somebody calls the police.
And also, I sort of wonder to myself, because if my wife started hitting me and I chose not to do anything about it, it probably wouldn't hurt that bad most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just
just put up with it.
Just something else. You know, just that big of. It wouldn't hurt. I would be able to block it or, turn in a way that it wouldn't hurt as much. I mean, I'm sure that she'd every once in a while catch me with a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But and I don't put up with it. My theory is that I don't hit you. You don't hit me, and it's I'm not regarding my wife. I'm just talking about women generally. Like, this is the rule that I've got. You don't want me to hit you, and believe me, you don't want me to hit you. Don't hit me, and it's served me very, very well.
All right, our toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Ian, Johnny Ray, and Mark in the studio. You're welcome to join us. Take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live. We also have Skype. You can Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM. More coming up here, including economics in one lesson. We got to get into Chapter 16.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-940-9829. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-940-9829. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-940-9829. That's 1-800-940-9829.
Hey, diabetics. Yeah, you. Got a spare hour to waste going to the pharmacy to get your insulin or other meds and supplies every month? I didn't think so. Me either. I've got life going on, which is why I use PillPack. PillPack is an amazing online pharmacy. They package up all my diabetic meds and testing supplies into daily doses and send it to me every month, automatically. All I do is pay my normal copay. PillPack does the rest. I'm serious. This is a free service. They don't even charge for shipping. PillPack handles all the medical insurance stuff and even get with my doctors for my other prescriptions so I don't have to, which is good because that's the stuff I forget. But PillPack remembers everything. They even package up my daily vitamins so I remember to take them too. If you're diabetic, your meds and supplies are life and death, which means you need PillPack. Call right now for this free service. You may even qualify for $25 in free vitamins. 800-560-7310. That's 800-560-7310. Again, 800-560-7310.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you may dial toll-free. Join us here and take control of the airwaves. Bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Jonny Ray,
and Mark.
And we do have Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. We can talk more about the clashes in Berkeley coming up here, but I wanted to stop down and shift gears into economics in one lesson. We are on Chapter 16, as we've been going chapter by chapter through the seminal work of Henry Hazlitt. This is something that anybody can download. There's a PDF version online, so if you would like to go along with us here and to join the discussion, or at the very least continue or to sort of read this chapter by chapter as we are. We're not reading them on the air. We'll take a few excerpts sometimes, but mostly it's the point of discussing the ideas presented in this book, the very really solid, economic ideas in a lot of cases. Sometimes he undermines his own arguments by making exemptions for certain things that the state does, but otherwise it's a pretty, useful, principled book.
I think I can give it a strong recommendation, but I would tell them that I would say in advance that there are a few parts that I can't agree with.
It's unlikely that we would read a book that we fully agreed with.
Yeah, how could you read a book and agree with everything the author said?
Good
I've
question.
Had that happen. I mean, Dr. Mary Ruwart's book is very good. Healing Our World. That one, offhand, I don't recall anything that was objectionable.
Yeah, the Tannehills,
The Market for Liberty. Harry Brown's Why Government Doesn't Work, also really great.
How to Find Freedom in an Unfree World.
That's another good one.
I don't agree with everything he says in it, but it's a really great book, and you should take the nuggets that work for you.
Exactly. So in this one, it's about stabilizing commodities. The idea that, and he starts the chapter all about the farms. A lot of this is focused, some of the book is focused on farming and some of the government programs that are surrounding, sort of propping up prices, for instance. And that's one of the things that he's discussing here, is that at harvest time on a farm, and in farming in general, and whatever the crop might be, there's a certain time of year that's generally the harvest time of year, and of course the market gets flooded at that moment with a whole bunch of whatever the crop happens to be. Given that there's a whole bunch of it, that tends to drive prices down below where they might normally be throughout the year, is the idea. And the government says, or the people who support this idea of stabilizing, that's their term, commodities, they say, well, this is bad for the producers, that the price has gone down. And so we need to come in there and we need to either pay the producers to not actually do the producing, or we need to raise the price of the product somehow.
The farmers are getting fleeced by the next step, the speculators. Speculators are stealing from the farmers because the farmers are forced, because this is how nature works, to sell their product at one time, putting them just in an inconvenient economic situation.
One of the things that he argues about here, or in favor of, and I thought was really persuasive, was that the speculators are actually the farmer's best friend. And the reason why is because the speculators are the ones who are taking risk to, let's say, purchase a bunch of the crops and then hold them off the market, right? So the speculators are saying, well, I think this crop is going to be worth more later. I have the ability to store this crop somehow. So I'm going to spend a bunch of my money to buy up this cheap crop and then put it away. And then later on, release some out, at a more controlled rate and maybe make some money, is the idea behind the speculation. Mm-hmm. And he argues that that's actually a good thing for the farmers, because it means the farmers, the fact that the speculator's the one who's just buying up a bunch of product and holding it, they're the ones taking that risk. And the farmer doesn't have to worry about taking that risk and storing all that product and, hoping that it works out. The farmer can actually just focus on farming and, harvesting the crop and putting it up for sale. And they just get to do farming. They don't have to worry about the speculative aspects of it and all the extra risks that come. They're already taking enough risk doing the farming.
Bill O'Reilly went after the oil speculators, and it's probably been 4 or 5 years now, maybe it seems like. But he was basically claiming that the futures market on petroleum was the reason the gas prices were too dang high, and it was really kind of ridiculous. It showed a real ignorance of the futures market.
So I thought that was kind of an interesting explanation. I mean, I never really thought real hard about farming and speculating, but he made a real solid argument that this is actually a good thing. And the fact that if the government comes in and, let's say, pays a farmer to not produce, well, that actually hurts everybody, because it means less product hitting the marketplace, so the prices tend to be higher as a result of that, meaning the people who are buying those products at the higher price now have less money that they can then spend on other things, and that typically it's the worst of the farmers who tend to take the subsidies. So they're the ones who are actually kept in business, rather than competition putting the worst farmers out of business and making room in the market for new competitors.
Yeah, and in this chapter, Hazlitt gives a few examples of how interventions have, towards in the last half of the chapter, he talks about some interventions in attempting to stabilize the price of a commodity and how it would cause the product to be held off the market, but ultimately there just comes a day when those products do go on the market and it affects the price of it then, and so you're not changing the world.
Well, he actually said that it did change the world in some cases. He gave some examples. of like where government restrictions in the United States actually made it so that the U.S. players were less competitive on the world scene, and so competitors arose in other countries. And I think cotton was one of the ones he gave example of.
Right, yeah, I'm looking for that paragraph.
So
right
it
now.
actually ended up creating competition outside of the United States that hadn't really existed before. So that made life more difficult for the very people that the government was trying to supposedly help.
Yeah.
The producers. Was there an excerpt that you had wanted to share from this chapter, Johnny Ray?
Thank you, Ian. The final paragraph I wanted to read in the style of Arcturus Mensk, who is a fictional emperor in a science fiction universe.
Which science fiction universe?
The StarCraft universe.
So this is the classic RTS, the real-time strategy game that came out, mid-90s? StarCraft?
1998, I think.
98.
The golden year.
For RTSs, you mean?
Exactly. So Henry Hazlitt, from Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson. Finally, by the greatest miracle of all, this post-war world of super international controls and coercion is also going to be a world of free international trade. Just what the government planners mean by free trade in this connection, I am not sure. But we can be sure of some of the things they do not mean. They do not mean the freedom of ordinary people to buy and sell, lend and borrow at whatever prices or rates they like, and wherever they find it most profitable to do so. They do not mean the freedom of the plain citizen to raise as much of a given crop as he wishes, to come and go at will, to settle where he pleases, to take his capital and other belongings with him. They mean, I suspect, the freedom of bureaucrats to settle these matters for him. And they tell him that if he docilely obeys the bureaucrats, he will be rewarded by a rise in his living standards. But if the planners succeed in tying up the idea of international cooperation with the idea of increased state domination and control over economic life, the international controls of the future seem only too likely to follow the patterns of the past, in which case the plain man's living standards will decline with his liberties.
Very nice, very nice.
It was very nice.
Any comments, Johnny Ray?
No further comments.
Pretty much says it all. Yeah.
Johnny Ray, we should point out, is
He's
an
an
actor.
actor.
He does community theater and
does it well.
That was well done.
Have you seen him perform, Mark? Have you seen?
I have not seen a single performance.
Tisk.
I'm glad you brought that up because the seen and the unseen kind of reminds me of a situation that happened to me once while I was in a play. I was in a play. It was one of these sort of modern comedies where you've got these two crazy old birds who are battling each other for whatever reason. Crazy old birds meaning women. I mean, in this case, they had this cooking show. I played an ex-con who was on a community cable access show, and I was the cameraman. Okay. And I had no lines until the very end. See, there was this running gag where these two ladies were always telling the viewers to make sure to always wash your hands. So the penultimate line was, now remember this person, always to, and then I was supposed to say, wash your hands, man. But the woman who said it, her back was to me, so she couldn't see me, and she never trusted that I would say it. And one time, she actually said the line herself because I was trying to give it the right comedic pause, and she didn't think it was going to happen, so she was kind of hand waving inside, and she delivered the line, and so I didn't even get to have my one line.
That's a disappointment. More coming up here. Hour 3's on the way. This is Free Talk Live. You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
Bitcoin.com is of the opinion that the current Bitcoin core development team is not taking satisfactory steps to ensure the growth and advancement of Bitcoin in accordance with Satoshi's vision. As community efforts to resolve these problems have failed, it is necessary to resolve them with a different approach by using subreddit r/BTC instead of r/Bitcoin and running Bitcoin Unlimited. You are casting a vote against the current development team. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 16th, 2017. Silver is trading at $18.54 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,285 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.9 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,182. Antiwar.com reports spending some 2 years under siege by al-Qaeda and its allied forces in Idlib province. Shiite civilians from 2 towns began a mass evacuation as part of a town swap deal, but didn't get far outside of Idlib before they were attacked in a massive car bombing which killed at least 100 people. The convoy of buses were heading into government territory but were targeted with a huge explosion in a rebel-controlled area outside of Aleppo. The attack reportedly killed not only a large number of civilians in the convoy, but between 20 and 30 rebels who were present to guard the convoy. The whole population transfer is apparently in limbo after the blast, with rebels accusing the government of violating the deal by not sending enough security to escort the rebel fighters and their families out of the towns near Lebanon, which are being evacuated on the other side of the deal. As a result, the rebels had stopped the Shiite convoy at the time of the attack. This means that in the wake of the attack and its huge casualties, thousands of Shiites are basically stranded in rebel-held territory, not particularly far from the towns where they were forced to abandon, and while the Red Crescent is providing food while they wait, many say they've gone for some 30 hours and have no access to toilets. Despite this being a bombing attack on pro-government Shiites in a rebel-held area, the rebels were quick to blame the Syrian military for the attack, calling for international intervention against them. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Delta Airlines began granting its agents the ability to offer passengers up to almost $10,000 to give up some seats on overbooked flights. A company spokesperson said supervisors were previously only able to offer up to $1,350, but as of Friday, they were given the ability to offer as much as $9,950 in compensation. The change will also allow gate agents to offer up to $2,000 in compensation, more than double the previous cap of $800. The Department of Transportation requires airlines compensate passengers for being involuntarily bumped from their flight with a maximum required payment of $1,350. Delta also reinforced the company's priority of reaching a voluntary agreement with passengers rather than involuntarily denying boarding in a memo announcing the raised compensation caps. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports a federal judge on Saturday temporarily blocked plans by Arkansas to carry out a rapid series of executions this month after the inmates argued the state's rush to the death chamber was unconstitutional and reckless. Arkansas, which has not carried out an execution in 12 years, planned to begin the lethal injections of at least 6 convicted murderers on Monday and complete the executions before the end of April. Since the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated the death penalty in 1976, no state has ever put as many inmates to death in such a short period of time. The ruling on Saturday by a federal court in Little Rock threatens the plan, as did an order on Friday by an Arkansas state judge. The federal judge, however, provided officials with an opportunity to address her concerns at a hearing on Monday. Arkansas had scheduled the fast-paced series of executions in order to beat the expiration on its batch of one of the 3 drugs in the lethal injection cocktail. U.S. District Judge Christine Baker, in a 101-page ruling, found the state's plan would deny the inmates their legal rights by depriving them of adequate counsel because prison officials only allow a single lawyer to be present for an execution. Baker said if the attorney had to rush out to file an emergency petition, it would deprive the inmate of a lawyer to witness the execution. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Jack Daniels announced today its plan to start marketing directly to children, adding, quote, "Why not?" Executives for the whiskey company told reporters that they've already slated dozens of television spots showing 10-year-old children drinking tumblers of Jack and Coke in playgrounds, and that the company was planning on, quote, "just seeing how it all played out."
Every year, Jack Daniels sells millions of dollars of great American whiskey to men and women all over the world. So, for our next ad campaign, we basically just thought, hey, why not just start marketing this stuff straight to 10-year-olds? I mean, if they catch us, they catch us, but we'll see how far it goes, and hopefully we can sell some alcohol along the way. Sure, some parents groups could get upset, especially if we go with our idea of moms serving their kids cranberry jack at snack time. But
in other news, a doomed rabbit will teach an 8-year-old a lesson about responsibility, and a torrent of soap issues from a wildly unexpected part of the dispenser. Well, that was it. It's all downhill from here, bud. For more, visit theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the Sunday edition live, by the way. We're here every Sunday night. We're here every day. We're here 7 days a week. And even on holidays like today, Easter holiday. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Johnny Ray.
And Mark.
Disturbing story coming out of Cleveland, Ohio, making headlines all over for good reason because there's a psychopath on the loose, a man named Steve Stevens. That's Stephen's.
People still live in Cleveland?
Well, there's now one fewer person alive in Cleveland because he's been murdered by Steve Stevens, the suspect in the fatal shooting that happened at around 2 p.m. today Eastern Time on the city's northeast side near Cleveland State University. The Cleveland police, joined by the FBI and other local law enforcement, are now searching for Mr. Stevens. The community has been advised to be vigilant. Said officers are working in double and triple patrols. Quote, "We want this to end with as much peace as we can bring right now," said Williams at the press conference today. They said that he is in touch with a lot of his friends and family, and they're trying to get him to turn himself in. Williams, who only identified the victim as Mr. Goodwin, said there was no apparent link between the two and that Stevens appears to have selected him at random, which is, of course, one of the things that makes this particular crime so frightening to a lot of people. Quote, "Steve Stevens, we want to communicate to you. We're saying to him, he need not do any more harm to anybody, any innocent people," unquote. Police say that Stevens made claims of killing other people in addition to the murder that he broadcast live on Facebook Live. But Williams said they have not yet verified any of those claims and have not found any additional victims. in the chilling video, which has been since pulled from Facebook. But if you Google it, you can find it. Just search for his name and, killing or something. I found one version, graphic raw video, Steve Stevens shooting Cleveland on YouTube. So somebody ripped it from Facebook and re-upped it to YouTube. It's about 1 minute long. I'm not going to play it on the air because I don't know if it's got profanity in it. But I did glance at the footage, and it's pretty horrifying. Basically, he just gets out of a car, picks an old man on the street, walks up to him, and apparently, according to the story here, he is apparently is complaining about a woman in his car, and he says, quote, "Found me somebody I'm going to kill, this guy right here, this old dude," unquote. He then approaches an elderly black man after getting out of his car and asks him to say the woman's name. Stevens then tells the man, quote, "She's the reason this is about to happen to you." He then appears to fire a single shot at close range and walks back into his car.
It says he's lost all his money gambling at casinos over the past year.
Okay.
So he sounds like a man who's very desperate. Says, "I'm sorry, team, but I've gone too far." I don't know. I mean, he just seems crazy.
He's crazy.
Yeah, he's just
definitely crazy.
He says he's the good guy.
No, he's not the good guy. What happened was a man identified as the 78-year-old victim's son said his father was a good guy who would give someone the shirt off of his back. He said, quote, "I'm not just saying that for these cameras like people do knowing that people ain't right, but I'm telling the truth. This man here was a good man. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's not real." As the man spoke, he hugged a woman who cried and said over and over, "It feels like my heart is going to stop."
Yeah.
So just a terrifying story of a maniac who is currently on the streets and of a mindset of just killing innocent people out there in Cleveland because apparently he has a problem with a woman.
Stevens, a case manager at a children's mental health facility.
Oh, my.
Has several videos on his Facebook page showing him at a gun range.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, there's not really an issue there besides, just crazy. And
apparently they're not doing a very good job screening at these mental health facilities they're sending your children to.
Yeah, beware of all that. Anyway, I just saw that story and I thought it was worth pointing out because
the police say not to approach him. If you find
definitely
him.
Not. And there's plenty of pictures of the dude. He's a very large black man with a big bushy beard. Looks like a bald head. Anyway, the toll-free number if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I did have a story that's sort of related about like Facebook addiction and people going into I guess young people, children as young as 13 being treated for addiction to mobile phones, according to Sky News. We could talk about that or get back into the story about the protests, the clashing that happened out in Berkeley. Or we can talk about the drones. I mean, all of those things have come up tonight here on Free Talk Live. You guys have any thoughts on where you want to go from here?
I don't know.
I want to talk about H.R. McMaster.
Yeah, that's right.
War criminal.
This is a guy you've been doing some research on, apparently, Johnny Ray.
I read a story and I heard an interview with this colonel, I think.
Now, isn't he in charge of something?
Really had an effect on me.
Didn't Trump put this McMaster guy in charge of some kind of bureaucracy or some kind of role?
H.R. McMaster is the National Security Advisor, is kind of the Oval Office advisor on national security.
This is the guy who's like whispering in Trump's ear, "You gotta kill Kim Jong-un."
Yeah, what are they, like sort of like a kitchen cabinet type position?
Yeah.
I think is maybe what they call that.
Tell me about McMaster. What's his history?
Okay, I'll bring up the story, but there was a Colonel Armando Claudio, I think was his name. I'll get the correct name.
By the way, if you want to join the conversation, you can here. You can bring up anything that's on your mind. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So how'd this guy come up on your radar in the first place?
From antiwar.com. Is it just Scott Horton's podcast? He had
interviewed. Is he still podcasting?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, that's good to know.
I know that he's often on. He's a guest often on Tom Woods' show, and he does his own anti-war podcast too. So he had seen this gentleman's story on Univision and interviewed him himself. Now I've got the Univision story here now. General H.R. McMaster, who was confirmed last week as White House National Security Advisor, is widely regarded as one of the best military men of his generation. But a retired senior U.S. military police officer, Colonel Arnaldo Claudio, 61, has a different view of the decorated three-star lieutenant general. In an exclusive interview with Univision Investiga, Claudio alleged that McMaster violated the human rights of hundreds of detained Iraqis in 2005. Claudio said he was sent to investigate concerns about detainee operations in the city of Tal Afar in northwestern Iraq, while McMaster, 54, was the commander of the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment battling Islamic militants. What he saw in April 2005 shocked Claudio. At a camp designed for 250 detainees, more than 900 prisoners were being held in conditions that violated U.S. regulations and the Geneva Conventions governing the treatment of prisoners of war.
Sounds like county jails in the United States in the 80s.
Still in some places.
It may very well be, yeah.
They did shut down Tent City.
Did they really?
The new sheriff, I think, is shutting it down.
Oh, Arpaio's no longer sheriff?
Right.
Oh, okay. That's good news.
Armando found between 300 and 400 detainees, some kneeling, others lying side by side in the sand, tied together with plastic handcuffs, and without food or water. When he got out of his car, he was immediately overwhelmed by the stench of urine and the defecation, Claudio said. It was really brutal, he said. The prisoners appeared to be severely dehydrated. Their skin was completely dry. You can see the lips that were just cut because of dryness.
Yep.
You can see their hair, the dirtiness of their hair. I mean, just inhumane, said Claudio. With the help of an interpreter, he discovered some had been there 3, 4, even 5 days. Claudio next entered a tent where the detainees were supposed to be housed and discovered 400 more prisoners in equally unsanitary conditions with the same stench of feces and urine.
Can you imagine?
I can imagine. Horrible. It's disgusting.
In the interview that Scott Horton gave, Claudio said that General McMaster had a program in the prison, and I think it was called a good behavior program. And the folks that they had incarcerated there in Tel Afar in that prison, they wouldn't let them out unless they gave them something, unless the prisoners gave them something, some actionable intelligence. They would just be kept
for indeterminate time.
Yeah, right. And if somebody asked me for actionable intelligence for the United States military's actions right now, I wouldn't be able to give any of it.
Sure. So the guy whispering in his ear, he's got no regard for the other.
Human life.
The people are animals as far as he's concerned.
We can continue here, and you can share your thoughts, whether it's on McMaster or whatever. 855-450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free. Join us right here. Our number 855-450-FREE, Live Sunday edition, Easter Sunday. We're here with you tonight. It's Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Mark.
We do have Skype, and the Skype username is LRN.FM. So you can take control of the airwaves here. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. And also want to let you know about Bitcoin.com. They're of the opinion that the current Bitcoin core development team is not taking satisfactory steps to ensure the growth and advancement of Bitcoin in accordance with Satoshi's vision. As community efforts to resolve these problems have failed, it's necessary to resolve them with a different approach. By using subreddit r/BTC instead of r/Bitcoin and running Bitcoin Unlimited, you are casting a vote against the current development team. Learn more at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. As we continue here, we were discussing this H.R. McMaster was his name.
Yep.
He's currently on the Trump Security Council team and former general with the military who was running some kind of a torture camp in, was it Iraq?
Yes, Tel Afar, Iraq.
And was that during the Bush administration when he was doing that? Or was it this way back with
No, this was more recent
Clinton.
than that. This was more recent than...
Or the original Bush, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Bush 43, I think.
The newer Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Tel Afar, Iraq. And he had gone and H.R. McMaster, the current national security advisor, had 3 or 4 times as many prisoners in his jail as he was supposed to. He wouldn't let them out unless
900
they provided him intelligence that he was happy with. They allegedly the detainees, the prisoners, were beaten with sticks to hasten their bathroom trips, and they were some of these guys who were found out in the sun, all zip tied to each other, laying in the sand, dehydrated, had been in that position for days on end.
Not able to get up, not able to walk around, not able to eliminate in another place. So it smelled of feces apparently, and just sounds absolutely horrifying. And this is the guy who's now one of Trump's right-hand men.
Yeah.
One of the problems, it seems, is with prisoners in this, when you've got these prisoners in this war on terror.
And remember, they were just rounding guys up who...
Yeah, they were just rounding random people up.
Yep.
Is if you let 100 innocent people go and one bad guy, and... the right media gets the story that you let the one bad guy go while letting 100, innocent people go, then you're the sympathizer. You're evil. You're stupid. You're everything that's ruining America. Take all the Muslims you've got in prison and lock them up and throw away the key. I mean, is the solution, it seems. And I obviously... somebody somewhere's done something wrong, but what business did the United States have to go in there in the first place?
Indeed. And to me, the bad guy is the guy running the prison. He's the guy who's disrespecting human beings.
And what you'll have in a situation like this is people who want to get out will just start either making up stories or turning in their friends. They just have to come up with a name, and if they can give somebody a name, then they can go back to their life. And so you just get all of the young males of the community or the country getting cycled through these prisons, and the reputation of the U.S. has been trampled in the mud because we allow ourselves to be represented by monsters. That's who is attracted to these jobs, to the jobs where you get to bomb people you've never seen. Evil people seek those jobs out.
Sure do.
So the suggestion is that the guy in charge was the bad guy, or
so did everybody else who followed his orders.
That's really where it comes down to. That prison didn't run with no guards.
That's right.
It's the guards that kept it going, and this is really all these war crimes. They're from the bottom up, not the top down. Yeah, the top guy at the top's wrong, bad, or whatever, but all these soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that have been taught their whole time, you salute that flag, you do what you're told.
Yeah, just doing their job.
Right. I mean, that's their job. I mean, they're standing by and letting these evil things happen.
Yeah, it's bottom up. I hope I can be coherent about this, but it's bottom up in the sense that it's our own base instincts to mistreat everybody who is not ourself. That's the lowest of the low, and you have to have a leader to keep that in check. And especially if that leader is not yourself, if you can't control yourself, then the leadership of your unit will keep your own base instincts in check. Even though you're at war with someone, they have regulations that are in black and white that keep you from doing certain heinous things.
In theory.
But if
as we've seen, that's not the case with Abu Ghraib and now this.
Yeah, and this happened right on the heels of Abu Ghraib.
Ah, okay.
This kind of came to this investigation happened because Abu Ghraib came to light.
Right.
But if you're lazy and if you think that your prisoners are not fully as human as you are,
they're dogs.
Then you'll do anything to them.
Yep, it's true.
And they're
the prison experiment is very instructive in this, right? The Stanford prison experiment, this famous experiment that if one wanted to learn a lot about it, could look online. There's a great website that Phil Zimbardo, the guy who ran the experiment, put together with some old documents and photos and I think some video even. Really an enlightening look at humans and how they respond. Not only are corrupted, evil people attracted to these roles where they will control people and imprison them. Certainly that attracts a certain type of person. But also the average person who is not necessarily a psychopath would become a sociopath or become sociopathic in these roles. If they, in the Stanford prison experiment, they just chose college students, and it was a random sampling. The people that came to do this study didn't know what kind of study it was going to be. Then when they got there, they didn't know what their role in the study was going to be. Would they be prisoner or would they be the captors? And they drew straws to determine that. So no one who got into the study could have known that they were going to be prison guards.
Right. So the sociopaths were not attracted to the role of prison guard. It what happened is that, they were told, you're in charge, right?
Yep.
And these people are your prisoners. And then when the prisoners didn't act prisonery enough.
Oh, they were acting prisonery.
Yeah, but, the
guards acted guardy.
Yeah, but they were surly. And when they acted surly enough, the guards are like, they're clamping down.
That's right.
Violence occurred. All kinds of things happened.
Right.
And
so they became what they
These were people acting.
Yep. And it became real for them, even though they were just, in an abandoned...
So real they had to stop the experiment halfway through because it was getting dangerous.
Yeah, right. Even Zimbardo, who was the warden, basically, of this experiment, it was his wife who kind of slapped him out of it and said, look, you're in too deep. You've become the warden. You're supposed to be objective here, and you're taking sides. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. So, yeah, if you want to learn more about that, I highly recommend the Stanford Prison Experiment. You can, Google it. You'll find the website. Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. You can take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live.
Be prepared for the next disaster with the Shelter Pod. The Shelter Pod is a large, all-season, heavy-duty, quick-deploy shelter. The Shelter Pod system can be set up in 30 seconds and includes an emergency medical kit, water filter, survival tools, and more. Are you prepared to take care of your family? Do you have everything in one place ready to go? Get it now or enter to win a complete Shelter Pod system at shelterpod.com. The Shelter Pod at shelterpod.com. Shelter when you need it most.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST, hosting.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
So, I heard somebody say that 50 is the new 25. I mean, I can live with that, but isn't age just a number? I mean, if you feel good and look good, who cares about numbers anyway? I take care of myself, and, well, I use Nature's Youth RSF from, you guessed it, Nature's Youth. Think of the money you spend on things that make you feel better for just a little bit, and then think of spending the same amount or less on something that can make you look and feel better for a lifetime. How about the facts? The ingredients in Nature's Youth RSF work naturally, providing just the right environment to support healthy HGH levels while maintaining homeostasis. RSF is non-toxic, and it doesn't contain any synthetic hormones, which can weaken your endocrine system. Simply add RSF to your sensible diet and exercise plan. You can, and will, thank me later. Forget about that aging number I mentioned and focus on the anti-aging number. 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and online at naturesyouth.com. Nature's Youth. Live your life.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can dial in toll-free. Join us here. Our number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, I'm Ian.
I'm Johnny Ray.
And I'm Mark. I want to tell you about the official wallet of Free Talk Live. If you have Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency, you got to check out Jaxx, the app. So you can go to jaxx.io or the App Store on your phone. It can hold Bitcoin, Ether, Dash, how many of the other Zcash, a whole bunch of different coins, and more currencies are on the way. It has Shapeshift integration that allows for frictionless and easy exchange between the currencies right inside the wallet. It was created by Anthony Diorio, and he's the founder of Ethereum. It's easy to back up your wallet and recover funds with Jaxx. They're striving to give you command over your digital life. Coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Your digital command center in the palm of your hand. It's Jaxx, the official wallet of Free Talk Live. jaxx.io. It's cross-platform. You can use it on your phone, your computer, all the same wallet. jaxx.io.
All right, so earlier tonight we had somebody call in about the conflict in Berkeley, and there was a story that we didn't get into from Esquire about what that conflict was. The mainstream media made it sound like it was anti-Trumpers versus Trumpers, but they say at Esquire it was much more than that. It was really the anti-fascists versus the white nationalists. We can get more into that discussion, but there's an interesting side story from the AmericanMirror.com. Kyle Olson reporting that there were numerous reports from those on scene that the Berkeley police largely stayed back as Antifa agitators took pot shots at Donald Trump supporters on Saturday. Reporter Tim Poole tweeted, quote, "As the violence escalated, police in Berkeley stood down and retreated from the crowds."
What do you think that means, taking pot shots? Like...
Yelling, saying things.
There were actual fights going on here. I mean, there were some definite, like serious violence.
When I hear pot shot, I think armed, like a firearm
shooting. Yeah,
I don't know about that, but there was definitely some big time fights. At one point, it says here several black-clad agitators isolated a lone Trump supporter and pummeled him with fists and feet, and they've got video of that happening, and it's pretty
terrible. One wonders why the police should protect in that circumstance. I mean, if you're going to Berkeley to do a pro-Trump rally or something of that nature, a pro-alt-right rally, you're looking for trouble.
You're saying you get what you get?
Why should my tax dollars go to protect you when you go into enemy territory and to agitate?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting thing to say. I would say that, first of all, I don't think that we should have government police, but I understand the viewpoint that people who paid for these government police might want to have them around to,
you think they're
protect somebody.
This is Berkeley police. I mean, you think they're residents of Berkeley? You think these are university students?
The Berkeley police are likely not university students, and many of them may not live in Berkeley.
I meant the protesters.
I don't know.
The protesters are going to Berkeley.
I don't know.
And then expecting Berkeley's police to protect them. They're not taxpayers other than your federal dollars going to the Berkeley University through the form of student grants and that sort of thing.
One observer claimed, quote, "I've never seen so few police at an event like this," saying that police ran away despite several Trump rally attendees being attacked. Mother Jones reporter Shane Bauer saw two officers in a patrol car not engaged in protecting people from violence. Quote, "Hey, how come you guys are hanging back?" he asked an officer standing in an open door of the car and another sitting in the back seat. The officer sitting in the seat responded, "That would be a question for the chief of police. You want a public statement, right? Said the standing officer. I would refer you to our public information officer. Bauer asked, did they tell you to hang back? He says, as I said, I refer you to our public information officer, the cop responded. Bauer said, I've been watching all day people get beat up pretty bad, and I haven't seen you guys around much. Okay, and? The officer responded. Numerous videos show Trump supporters being beaten in the streets as police failed to keep the two sides apart. And then they post the videos here of the multiple assailants against one guy beating and punching and kicking this person.
I think if you're a police officer and you witness someone getting beaten up, then you should do something about it. Regardless.
What if your bosses say you're not supposed to?
Yeah. Well, then you shouldn't, but your bosses shouldn't tell you that. That's my opinion.
And it reminds me of what happened here in Keene, New Hampshire a few years ago at the Pumpkin Festival, the very last final Pumpkin Festival that they held here. There were some riots, I guess you could say, in the streets nearby. The Pumpkin Fest happens near the college neighborhood here in this college town of Keene, New Hampshire, and inevitably there are a lot of college partiers who come to town during this particular event, which, by the way, has not happened in Keene since that time, although they're proposing that it come back apparently this year. That's something that is on the table for discussion. But anyway, so what happens is the college students at Keene State have parties.
Yep.
They invite their friends from the other colleges to come to Keene, and so you literally have thousands more college students in town.
Those kids show their rear ends.
They show their rear ends.
Yes.
Okay. That probably happens. Yep.
Well, I'm not just talking about showing their rear ends. It literally.
Spiritually.
They misbehaved terribly.
Okay. I thought you meant they were mooning people.
Yeah, I know, buddy.
Yes, drunken college students definitely are more likely to misbehave, but the typical misbehavior that had happened over the years was smashing some pumpkins, after the Pumpkin Festival was over. Drunken kids walking through the main street and just smashing leftover pumpkins.
Which really would be meaningless since the pumpkins are all picked up by front-end loaders and thrown into big dumpsters and given...
Right.
They tried to... They have to compost them because there's all kinds of trash in there with them. You can't feed it to pigs or anything.
So there's very, little that would happen. I mean, maybe there might be some stranger types in town who would steal from some of the downtown stores. So there's a little bit of a crime spike, but nothing that was particularly serious. But what happened in this case was they were partying, of course, long before Pumpkin Fest was, long before night fell, I guess you could say, like maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Cops came around to some of the parties that were so large. We're talking about hundreds of people in somebody's yard, basically, at a house.
It's kind of an exciting time for Keene because because Keene contends with the city of Boston for world supremacy.
That's right.
At this time.
Yeah, and they had the record for a number of years.
In the area of most lit jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah, so they had that record for a long time. And anyway, the parties were rollicking, and the police showed up, and they broke up some parties. Because everything was okay until that point. It was just people partying in the middle of the day. Drunken college students, shouldn't be a crime. But they came, they broke up the parties, and what the story was that we learned from some of the college students was that was what set some of these people off. That they were kicked out of their party, but they were still S-faced drunk, and they still wanted to do some more drinking.
Showing their A's.
But they get out of the party and they start roaming around the streets. And now they are drunk and angry at the police, who were there to cause the problem in the first place. So had the police not broken up those parties in the first place, there's an argument that the riots never would have occurred. And so what ended up happening was roaming, sort of large numbers of drunken college students doing things like destroying property, clashing with the police to some extent, but mostly clashing,
beating cars with baseball bats or rolling them or.
There was one car that got tipped over.
Okay.
Yeah, that did happen. And but there was also like a wild bottle fight that happened on one of the college streets that I actually witnessed. I got video footage of it. That footage ended up actually being used to arrest and convict some of the people that were involved in it. But what was interesting was that during these riots, a lot of times the police were just hanging back, just like they described in this story out of the conflicts in Berkeley. And at one point, I confronted some of the police about that, asking them, what are you guys doing over here? There are people throwing bottles at one another in the next street. Why are you standing over here at your patrol cruiser?
Officer safety.
That could have been a factor because they might not have had the equipment that they needed to go in there and take out these people. They were also largely outnumbered. And their answer was, we're containing it. So their role, they saw it, was to stop the college students from getting into the Pumpkin Festival. As far as all the damage that they were doing to one another and in the streets, they did nothing about that, at least in the moment. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas. When I was playing ball, they called me the Big Hurt. But after I left the game, Mother Nature started putting a big hurt on me. I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, it wasn't my fault. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. But luckily, I found out about Nugenics.
Nugenics is a unique man-boosting formula powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help boost your free testosterone levels. Get a complimentary bottle now by texting PRIME99 to 42424. With Nugenics, you can feel stronger, leaner, with a lot more stamina and energy.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenics is GNC's #1 selling men's vitality product. Get a complimentary bottle now by texting PRIME99 to 42424. Nugenics samples are not available in stores. So again, text PRIME99 to 42424.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. Attention! If you or a loved one had a total or reverse shoulder replacement between 2011 and 2016 and suffered serious complications, including dislocation and loosening, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Evidence indicates that these devices can dislocate and loosen, causing severe pain, and may require additional revision surgery. If you or a loved one had a total or reverse shoulder replacement and suffered a dislocation and loosening requiring a revision, call 800-598-0696. If you or a loved one had a total or reverse shoulder replacement between 2011 and 2016 and suffered serious complications, including dislocation and loosening, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Time is limited to file a claim. Act now. For more information and a free consultation, call 800-598-0696. That's 800-598-0696. Again, that's 800-598-0696. Call now.
A report released Tuesday by physicists at Stanford University revealed that the entire known universe, from the whole of human civilization to the totality of matter and energy, is actually the fictional setting of a cop show called Hard Case. According to authors of the report, existence as we know it was created solely to provide the framework for the primetime drama that airs weekly in a parallel universe, and that every historical event prior to the show's September 2008 pilot, including the Renaissance, World War II, evolution, the September 11th attacks, and the presidential administrations of Washington through Clinton, never actually happened and are merely part of the elaborate backstory crafted by Hard Case creator and showrunner Dominic Egan.
We used to believe that our universe operated under immutable laws of thermodynamics and gravitational relativity, but now we know everything just comes from the minds of Hard Case's 12 staff writers. Overall, it seems like a very well-written show.
Physicists have theorized that the universe as we know it will cease to exist whenever Hard Case airs its final episode.
This is the Onion News Network.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free and take control of the airwaves here. Live Sunday edition of the program. You can join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, and the Skype username is LRN.FM. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
Jonny Ray.
And Mark.
Back to the phones, to the fun. Let's talk to Trina in New York. You're on Free Talk Live. Hi, Trina.
Hi.
Hey.
The last time I called was around 2014, in March 2014. Thank you. Well, I didn't have a good outcome with my case I had a ticket, speeding. Then I found out my license was suspended. And I think I called, the reason I called, I was telling you about, I had a car in the garage in New York. I was living in Georgia. I didn't take that plate off the car, which created a suspended license, even though I never stopped paying. And I was trying to prove that point and trying to get that suspension dismissed. And I was bringing up all kind of reasons they should dismiss it. But first I started with jurisdiction, and it just went on, and they would not dismiss it. And every time I brought about jurisdiction and they can't go any further, they would just adjourn it, and adjourn it over and over, to the point where after a year, I just got tired. And I spoke to a lawyer, which I know, I could just do better by myself. But anyway, he, being that he's frequent with that court, he said he can just get this dismissed, it's garbage and everything like that. And my license was already reinstated. So, long story short, something happened, and he was too busy to be there that day. And I was just so frustrated. They lied and told me if I take a no-load, it won't go on my driving record. It won't go on any criminal background, and I won't have any points and this and that. And I was just so wanting to be out of there and done with it that I went ahead. Yeah, I took the no-load, and yes, it's on a criminal background. And not only one, but they doubled it. They separated one charge of driving with a suspended license, and they made it one charge of driving with a suspended license. The other charge was knowingly driving with a suspended license. So they made it two. And then I think when I called you last time, I was telling you all the details of how I left Georgia, took a plane, and then drove 3 hours up to that upstate court in New York. And then when I got back to Georgia, my money was really low, and I bought some items at the farmer's market, and I was counting every dollar, so I knew I had enough to purchase what I bought with a check. And then Netflix or something came through with like a $10, $15 thing and just threw it out of whack, and the check bounced. Yeah, and what happened? My bank actually paid it, but they paid it. The guy at the farmer's market didn't wait. He just went and filed charges. So anyway, I didn't know when I got stopped for the driving with a suspended license for the second time in Georgia. That was the first time was in New York. Second time was Georgia because, and here's the thing that I was telling you before, is when I paid the fine after a year of trying to fight, and I just said, let me just pay this thing. Mm-hmm. I paid it. That generated a conviction in New York. Georgia has this thing where if you have any kind of conviction, they have to suspend you. So I was actually suspended again,
Georgia.
even though nothing took place in Georgia. They suspended me because I paid a ticket. If I didn't pay that ticket, I would not got suspended.
What a crazy,
It's a crazy system.
It really is.
Checks really are.
What do they call it? Unintentional consequences of law?
Yeah, unintended consequence, sure.
So, right.
Checks are a disaster these days. I mean, you can get arrested over a bounced check, but, credit cards, you can swipe a credit card that's no good all day long.
All day.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So when they took me in because failure to appear in New York, so I paid the fine because I just wanted to be out of there. After I paid it, they come back to me, oh, my goodness, we can't let you go. I'm like, why not? You have a bad check, fraud check or something. Uh-huh. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I tell you what, go in my property, look in my pocketbook, and you'll see that same check with the same number. It's still active. It's my account. So luckily, they just let me go to the court and pay it. And I was so shooken up. I went and paid it without any questions, not realizing my bank had paid that already. So that means that I paid it twice. So afterwards, after I calm down and think about the whole thing, I go back to the court and tell them. They said, well, you already paid it. And I said, and then like 2 months after that, I found out I have a criminal background with a bad check on there. So I go back to the court, and I'm like, look, this is a criminal background check. And it says I have fraud bad check and fraud instruments. And they said, well, you signed a what was it called? A restitution.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sign restitution, that's
guilt.
the same as, yeah. I'm
God,
like,
are you kidding me?
And
So
now
now-
it looks like you're a fraudster. Now anybody that does a background check on you, it looks like you've committed fraud
Exactly.
when you just accidentally wrote a bad check
Right.
that ended up being made good on.
Man, I must have
Right.
written at least a half a dozen bad checks in my life.
But I didn't.
Not
I
on
mean,
purpose, you
because I
mean.
usually
Yeah, but
count it,
I just-
you know,
yeah, the
and
bounce
then
check.
That was the month that I went to New York with this crazy court thing. All of these things are stemming from that one thing that happened
Man.
upstate New York. I get suspended in Georgia for something that happened in New York. Now I have a bad check because I paid for a ticket to get there.
So
and
is
all
there
that
anything
stuff.
hanging over your head right now, Trina?
It really is, because I'm a CDL driver,
Mm.
and I went to get a job, and he told me he's never seen this before. They have suspended in the second degree. And he said, I never seen the second degree. He said, I've seen suspended license, but I've never seen in the second degree.
You're really
So-
suspended.
We're not very
Yeah,
suspended.
right. Yeah, and he looks at background. He looks at DVRs, driving records every day for year after year after year. He's never seen it. So now I started thinking. I was just laying down thinking one day. That day that I got pulled over in New York upstate, there was a car that stopped on the road up ahead. I'm not going to get into all the details, but I had some issues with IRS and challenging them and stuff like that. And I seen a video that says certain things just do not say to the IRS. And I should have watched the video first before I made that call, because I was just talking, yak. Well, listen, there's 10,000 employees where I used to work, and, you know, all this stuff. And I think that they were actually following me and making building a case or something, because this doesn't happen to most people. When
Well, who
your
knows?
license
I mean,
is
a lot of
been-
people have gotten into some really bad circumstances with the government, and it just seems to just pile on and pile on. I totally understand. Trina, thanks for the call tonight. I'm sorry to hear that, you know, things got worse for you, but that's the government for you, and I appreciate hearing from you. Thank you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You know, speaking of court, Representative Dick Marple, who we have talked about to some extent here on Free Talk Live. He's an octogenarian. He's, I think, around 85 years old, kind of, this really sharp guy. Like he's really with it for an older gentleman. He's not only just a state representative, but he's also one of those guys who believes in, those courtroom conspiracies.
And the capital letter conspiracies.
I've never heard that one from him, but it wouldn't surprise me if
I thought he did. I
believes
thought
that
he
one.
believed that only your capital letter.
I haven't
name
heard
was in
that
your
theory
tax
from him,
form.
but maybe he does.
Okay.
I don't know the extent to which all of the different theories that he believes, but he definitely does believe in the idea that the government doesn't have jurisdiction. So she'd mentioned challenging jurisdiction, and that the government just kept on putting off the trial until it just wore her down. In the case of Dick Marple, he is going to be facing trial Tuesday of this week in Concord, New Hampshire, for driving while license suspended. And there's another prohibitions charge in there of some sort of driving-related thing without having a government permission slip. And there was when he went into court before, he didn't cross the bar, which is one of the things that we hear from a lot of these courtroom conspiracy guys. Don't cross the bar. That gives them jurisdiction over you. And so he actually got away with not doing that, which I think a lot of us would just be arrested if we didn't do what the judge said and cross the bar and, have a seat. But in this case, he stood up the whole time and just sort of yelled at the judge and was really he got away with some stuff that I think the average person would get arrested for.
He is a state rep.
And
right?
he's elderly as well. So I think he's got both of those factors in his
He
corner.
is clearly a coot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he is super entertaining. Super entertaining to watch. So I'm going to be there. I'll be bringing my video camera, and if you want to follow up or if you want to learn more about Dick Marple, you can watch his previous interactions with this judge, because I was there. I recorded it all, and it's just fascinating to watch. The judge acts like she's listening and paying attention to him. She took the time to delay the trial by 3 months, as she issued an order saying basically that she's rejected his argument that there's no jurisdiction. She cites a few different court cases. You can read her order if you search freekeen.com for Dick Marple. the most recent article about him. I did put that judge's order in there. So she says she's got jurisdiction. He says she doesn't. They're going to be meeting this Tuesday, and stay tuned to freekeen.com for the latest. We'll see you tomorrow.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 16th, 2017. Silver is trading at $18.54 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,285 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.9 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,182. Antiwar.com reports spending some 2 years under siege by al-Qaeda and its allied forces in Idlib province. Shiite civilians from 2 towns began a mass evacuation as part of a town swap deal, but didn't get far outside of Idlib before they were attacked in a massive car bombing which killed at least 100 people. The convoy of buses were heading into government territory but were targeted with a huge explosion in a rebel-controlled area outside of Aleppo. The attack reportedly killed not only a large number of civilians in the convoy, but between 20 and 30 rebels who were present to guard the convoy. The whole population transfer is apparently in limbo after the blast, with rebels accusing the government of violating the deal by not sending enough security to escort the rebel fighters and their families out of the towns near Lebanon, which are being evacuated on the other side of the deal. As a result, the rebels had stopped the Shiite convoy at the time of the attack. This means that in the wake of the attack and its huge casualties, thousands of Shiites are basically stranded in rebel-held territory, not particularly far from the towns where they were forced to abandon, and while the Red Crescent is providing food while they wait, many say they've gone for some 30 hours and have no access to toilets. Despite this being a bombing attack on pro-government Shiites in a rebel-held area, the rebels were quick to blame the Syrian military for the attack, calling for international intervention against them. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Delta Airlines began granting its agents the ability to offer passengers up to almost $10,000 to give up some seats on overbooked flights. A company spokesperson said supervisors were previously only able to offer up to $1,350, but as of Friday, they were given the ability to offer as much as $9,950 in compensation. The change will also allow gate agents to offer up to $2,000 in compensation, more than double the previous cap of $800. The Department of Transportation requires airlines compensate passengers for being involuntarily bumped from their flight with a maximum required payment of $1,350. Delta also reinforced the company's priority of reaching a voluntary agreement with passengers rather than involuntarily denying boarding in a memo announcing the raised compensation caps. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports a federal judge on Saturday temporarily blocked plans by Arkansas to carry out a rapid series of executions this month after the inmates argued the state's rush to the death chamber was unconstitutional and reckless. Arkansas, which has not carried out an execution in 12 years, planned to begin the lethal injections of at least 6 convicted murderers on Monday and complete the executions before the end of April. Since the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated the death penalty in 1976, no state has ever put as many inmates to death in such a short period of time. The ruling on Saturday by a federal court in Little Rock threatens the plan, as did an order on Friday by an Arkansas state judge. The federal judge, however, provided officials with an opportunity to address her concerns at a hearing on Monday. Arkansas had scheduled the fast-paced series of executions in order to beat the expiration on its batch of one of the 3 drugs in the lethal injection cocktail. U.S. District Judge Christine Baker, in a 101-page ruling, found the state's plan would deny the inmates their legal rights by depriving them of adequate counsel because prison officials only allow a single lawyer to be present for an execution. Baker said if the attorney had to rush out to file an emergency petition, it would deprive the inmate of a lawyer to witness the execution. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
I'd like to tell you about our newest innovations in helping to keep our communities safe. Problem Creation Policing. Problem Creation Policing, or PCP, is a way to get the entire community involved in maintaining a safe neighborhood. This is more than just a neighborhood watch. We plan to have officers on the ground, helping, aiding, and surveilling for illicit activities. You never know when you're going to find some young punk doing something illegal out in public. That's why we're going to have officers everywhere. You never know when they're going to pop up. So we want PCP in our homes, at our jobs, and in our schools. We want PCP everywhere. How can you get involved in PCP? Well, for starters, you can call your local authorities and ask them how you can get PCP. I'm Byron Kingsley from the Citizens Respecting the Authority of Police.
All right, good evening and welcome here to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. This is your host, as always, Will Coley, broadcasting live from our secret Liberty Bunker that is nestled here in the beautiful Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. Joined, as always, by my normal co-host, Mr. Tom Gray. How you doing tonight, Tom?
Hello, William. In this episode, Republicans argue that instead of taking free lodging and free money, a man shouldn't have chosen to try to go to work instead.
Oh no, I have a horrible problem. When I came in here, there wasn't room to put my coffee cup down. So my big red cock is on the other. I mean, well, you know, my big red cock cup is on the other. And it's on the other side of the studio, and I'm just sitting here looking at it like, no, I need that right now.
Peak first world problem.
I know. Come on now.
Just go to it at the next break and get it over with.
So I have no idea what happened, but Dahlia Mogahead is just now getting her airplane is on the tarmac, just now landing. So
she's not flying United.
Yay! So we might be joined by her tonight. We might not be. We've been trying very, very hard to get a replacement, but there was a huge Muslim event this weekend, and all the big name Muslim people were at it. So like all the people that we would get to do the show tonight it's all the same thing. It's, you know, like they're at a hotel, or they're in the air, or they're about to be in the air, or they just got on the ground, and it's not happening. So so that's what happened in Dahlia Mogahead this week.
So to recap, and I don't know if there is a religious element to that, but to recap, it's Easter Sunday, and the Christian co-host showed up on the holiest holiday of our year, but we can't get any Muslim guests to come on.
Well, it is Ashura. Muslims celebrate the Passover, so we call it Ashura, but because it's a you know, that's just the name of the month.
But but it's more akin to the Passover than it is to Resurrection Sunday.
Yeah, it is the Passover. It's the celebration of the Passover and Exodus and all of the, you know, all that stuff. So it is a Muslim holiday. Muslims usually fast. Not like fasting like Lent, like fasting like really fasting, you know, like no food or drink, or cursing or being mad or cutting people off in traffic or flipping someone off who does. You know, none of that from sundown.
I've done all of that today. Plus, we had a big leg of lamb roast for dinner. So, so far apart right there.
Right. But we did, however, build an episode around Dahlia, and our other guest did show up. Now, you guys probably know her. She's a fairly prolific photographer around the libertarian community. She writes for a number of publications. Miss Aubin O'Brien, how are you tonight, hon? Did we lose her?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Good to have you on tonight. So now I wanted to lead with a
Sorry, but your atheist didn't have anything to do.
Right. Wait, what did you guys do today? Sit around the house and watch everybody complain?
They spent a few hours complaining about memes on the Libertarian Party Facebook page.
Oh, we'll get into that later. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll definitely get into the story that won't die. Oh my God, that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
We slept until I think we slept until noon, very obviously, but we slept until probably about noon, and then we literally got up and started arguing on the internet about marketing and Satanists on Facebook.
Just a normal week.
Oh goodness.
Seriously, like I'm not even kidding. We both roll over and we grab our phones and then we lay in bed together and argue on the internet with other people. So romantic.
You must enjoy like Facebook on your phone more than I do. I hate nothing more than having to deal with Facebook while I'm on my phone. Like on a laptop, I don't mind, you know, because I have a keyboard that works for my like, you know, fat hands. But for that, it isn't happening. And for me, I hate it.
Some of my longest posts are written on my. It's easier at times to just like quickly just type up something really quickly. So every once in a while I'll have a debate with someone and I'll be like paragraphs of conversation, and at some point I'll say, I'm really sorry about that grammatical mistake, like 4 posts back, I'm writing on my phone. Like, you just wrote all that shit on your phone? Like, are you like you've been fighting with one arm tied behind your back this entire time? And I'm like, I use my phone a lot. I'm a millennial.
People underestimate how much stuff you can get done with 2 thumbs.
They also underestimate how fast I am with the dump button. Wah! Zing! Anyway, so let's see here. Tom, you've got like 2 minutes to at least bring up the story that we're going to cover when we get back from the break, because you says you have like something that you absolutely have to say. So what is the story that we're going to get into when we get back?
This would be Dr. David Dow's odyssey aboard a United flight and his misadventure with a Chicago aviation cop, and how astoundingly so-called conservatives, who are usually all about private contracts, are blaming his guy for getting his butt kicked on this plane. And you know, I'll save the long form version of my roast for after the break. But
all right, so basically the story is that this doctor gets on the plane. There are people who work for the airline that want to fly home, I'm assuming, and the airlines tell people, you know, like, look, you need to go. We need to make room. The flight is overbooked, and we're going to give you some money if you'll get up and you'll leave. And who volunteers? And nobody wanted to volunteer. So then they started. Yeah,
I will break down what's wrong with your synopsis when we get back.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you, this is the story that the morons in the mainstream media told us when everything started. Then he was attacked by I guess airport security, dragged off of the airplane, bleeding from the face. When United saw that they had a possible PR catastrophe on their hands, their, of course, logical and reasonable response wasn't to apologize, but to try to figure out a way to dig up dirt to attack the doctor himself. Released information about the doctor that actually turned out to be about someone else. And then it turned out that they weren't ever supposed to pick him off the flight to begin with, because the flight wasn't overbooked, and that the policies are that if you're an employee of the airline, then you're supposed to be the first person to give up your seat, not be the person who gets people kicked off of the airplane. So, I mean, it's a huge mess. And there were quite a few here hold my beer moments that United had over the course of the last week, because it was like, wow, that was a really, really bad PR move. You really can't
scorpion on a guy.
Yeah, you really can't do any worse than that. And they're like, oh, hold my beer, you got to see this. And then you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that you could be more stupid than you were 10 minutes ago. There's definitely no way you could possibly do anything dumber than that and survive. And they were like, oh, no, really watch this. There's something even better. It was just like one idiot. It was like, what was his name? Super Dave Osborne, just over and over and over again. Like Evel Knievel, just never landing it. You know what I mean? I've never seen a business self-impale itself so many times in the course of 7 days. So when we get back here, Tom, I guess, is going to flip out over that, and then we've got Ovens with us to talk about a lot of different stuff. We're going to talk about tokenism in the libertarian community, what it's like to have to deal with being, you know, a female libertarian activist who's, you know, looked up to as a leader in what basically, I mean, let's just be honest, guys, it's kind of a male-dominated culture. It's a male-dominated, particularly among the leadership in the community. You know, what it's like to be, you know, have to deal with us and smell us and you know, be around our stinky butts all the time.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
All right, and welcome back here to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. And so we've been talking about this story. It was the big public relations faux pas of the week. The United Airlines just screwing themselves over and over and over again with this story about this gentleman who was kicked off of the airline. And Tom had a rant, and I'm thinking he's back. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom and let Tom get whatever it is that he's got on his chest that he feels that he needs to get off and just get it over and done with before, right here at the beginning of the show. So go ahead, Tom, take it over.
Okay, let me clear my throat. All right. Well, first of all, let's think for just a moment about the statement, this was the public relations gaffe of the week. In a week where the White House press secretary said that Hitler did not use chemical weapons on the Jews, this was actually